My mid laner feeding my Smite Prime live. Nyx in 5. Welcome on back, folks, to the EU Summer Bash here at Smite Prime. As you heard, live on the scene, it's D'Lo behind the mic, joined by Musi right here in the booth. Almighty Eyes in the Sky, Tess and Red Rosie Panda keep the prod lights on, that cam steady. And of course, Jithin's your man behind the curtain. Rising, coming at you a lot here at stake, Musi. What do we got on tap?
Whew, I mean, it says 8,100 over the course of the entire summer bash.
Yum.
For just today, it's a small piece of the pie, but veritably, we will be fighting for each tooth and nail for that piece of the pie, D'Lo. There is quite a bit at stake.
Absolutely, and lots of teams trying to play for it as well. Let's take a look at that bracket, see what we got going on. Now, Musi, last time you and I joined hands, saying Kumbaya over some Joust, it was about 100 teams. This time, it's a bit easier to make heads and tails of.
So, only, what is this? I can't count that fast. I think Jithin said something like 21 teams or something like that. At least 6 or 7.
Jesus.
So, last time it was like 100 or so Joust teams, but, you know, it's 8 in the morning on a Sunday for me, Central Time, because it's an EU Joust tournament. So, not as many folks here from the old UA. It's actually going to be over in the EU. We got you pulling up. So, I like what I'm seeing here, though. We love you, Bill. More to Dello squad. Type. I'm in that. Thunderhead. Okay, cool. Gup squad. I'm following Gup squad to do it in Spaceman. Ooh.
What's in there?
Probably
Probably some skeletons. Probably to do it as well,
Probably
actually.
to do it.
That's a fair point. Makes sense. It is interesting that it is EU, of course, knowing that Joust can be a game format that's played a bit more slow, a bit more to the vest Musi, that farm game. And EU, of course, known for its slower, more methodical style. So, in terms of what we're expecting to see, guys, keep in mind, this is not your granddaddy's Smite. This is not your typical conquest queues. It's its whole other thing. It's the Summer Bash, baby.
Last time we saw Joust on Smite Prime, what really pushed everything forward and what was kind of a precursor to what we were going to see in Conquest later that month, because when it happened, these were around the times that the starter changes were going through. Everybody was building Warriors Axe, even the squishies, and it was just tanks on tanks on tanks. Even the damages were just tanks in disguise, right? You take the Scooby-Doo mask off, and boom, there they are, as we get a chance to scooch along to picks and bans, D'Lo. There is, in my mind, the possibility that we run into that again, because every single time Joust gets more and more competitive, health bars just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Which is an interesting theme to undercut these god selections. Mortis, the recent addition, I've seen him play in comp just a little bit on your good old Yi-fashioned Smite Prime yesterday. And as far as what that god can bring to Joust, it might be a bit more limited considering that the map, of course, is a bit more small. In terms of what the new meta is amongst this single lane restricted map, what do you think? What should we expect?
I think even after the nerfs, Alplash is really good. Now, big reason behind that is ult. It's huge, right? Giant, it is as big as this square.
Tell me
in
when.
the game.
Tell me when.
Right? I once caught a fish this big, you know, and it's off the screen.
Impressive.
You're like, cool, wonderful. But just so much space control, a lot of sustain, which is kind of handy in Joust. And the AoE damage, which is good just for clearing out the wave. Other than Apwash, some classics I think that are solid are like Ho Yi was really good in Smite 1 Joust, has a chance to shine here for similar reasons like Ricochet and the ultimate. Paul was playing Princess Bari last time. Was it a Paulism, or was Bari, you know, just the Joust goddess to lock in? Maybe a little bit of both. No mana bar kind of helps with that. But the Horus that you mentioned, D'Lo, limited mobility with the ultimate, but honestly, the fact that we have a ton of mobility, being able to heal their team and have a dash with that stun, a knock up, Horus might also be really solid here too, honestly.
You know me, in terms of support picks that I like to see, the tankier side of things. Love me some Ymir. Now that single lane means that wall takes up a very large portion of it, makes it a lot more harder to maneuver around. Also, the fact that things are more claustrophobic, that frostbite buff, meaning that taking less damage from the opponents you get hit by that passive, makes things a lot nicer for you. That being said, Up Squad, Thunderhead, taking their time trying to reconsider what this new context means for their bans. And in terms of the players on these teams, Gup Squad, man, those are some big Gups that I'm seeing there. Baronary, Gray's Sin, our friend Gray from the sewer, man. His sin manifested into a whole new player. That's a scary sucker.
Savvy with the heart. I hope the heart made his way through into the Smite game. Into the Smite game client as well. What? Look at the other side of things with Thunderhead. There are some very familiar names over there. Nil, Lestimix, and ACD. These are already some pretty hard-hitting players right away in bracket 1. There's going to be some pretty significant implications for down the line, because these are teams that I would have expected to see, maybe around quarters or even semi still.
I'm just curious whether or not these more experienced teams end up kind of going for the methodology we've expected and have come to see before, which is like you farm up for about 10, 15 minutes without as much action, or if they decide to just let it rip from the beginning. There's certainly that possibility if you find yourself with a composition that's capable enough of rolling over the enemy. Like you said, that Op Watch thing will be a highly contested pick. I imagine it's going to be probably top pick, top ban, just because it controls so much space. And whoa! Freaky Friday, we swapped sides. Thunderhead now with first pick.
Oh,
what does this mean for LeBron's legacy?
It means that LeBron probably hasn't loaded up Smite 2 ever.
He's got to change that. Someone
certified
tell the
bronze,
king that
I'm
we need
pretty
him
sure.
to play.
I think I could walk up to LeBron James and be like, "You're nothing but a clay player, man." And at that point, LeBron would be like, "What?" And LeBron's security would be like, "You need to go." And maybe one person in the crowd would be like, "He's wrong to say it, but he's right." And I'd be like, "That guy knows."
Musy, he's got my to say that, Ron. Let me tell you, I respect it, but unfortunately, it's not King James ascending to the throne. It's instead one of these many teams that we have for us here. After all, LeBron is not from EU. I do wonder if there are any NA teams stepping up to the field, because of course that Musy would mean that they are playing on ping, which can certainly put things into a bit of a doldrum for anyone who's on the other side of the pond. We know that certainly some EU teams try to make that journey across to varying levels of success. So we'll see if that's the case here today.
I feel, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure both these teams are actually, because I think EU and Lestimix are NA. Recognize them as such. The Dude's Basement's definitely EU, and I feel like that's a team that we're going to be seeing later down the line.
Give me the IP address of Listimix right now. Put it on the screen.
Thunderhead is EU?
We're getting word. Test does have their IP address.
We do have their
It'll
IP.
be on the screen shortly.
It won't be, yeah. We'll sit there soon. So,
okay.
Up Squad, we're leaning towards not EU. Thunderhead, we have confirmation for EU. So Thunderhead will be playing with a ping advantage. Very strong competitive advantage when your abilities don't come out a second later. Honestly, it's a fun chance to talk about the fact that all these EU teams that play in like the NA Conquest, like adapting and everything like that, when they have their time to shine and they show up, the fact that they're playing on ping and you're like, dang, they're still really taking it to them. It is pretty impressive. I think anybody will tell you that. Oh my god, all the bans happened at once. Right, okay.
Well.
Bomba.
Opwash first pick. You predicted it. We're seeing it. Thunderhead. Not going to underestimate that god of horrific decay.
Oh, Yi, Pele, Cabrakan off the board, Aphrodite, Cabrakan, Anubis off the board. These bans happen simultaneously, by the by. If you're familiar with the way that like Smite 2 ranked works in Conquest, it's the same thing here that we have in ranked Joust.
Bacchus, Thor on the side of Gup Squad. I like this. Again, Muzi, we talked about this. You skip the line. You skip the line if you are on Gup Squad to try to instantly surpass and get past that very tanky front line from the A Squad. This is the A team from Thunderhead. Opwash, Achilles, and Artio, but if you want to get right past the bear and get to the gooey center of that Opwash, no better way to do it than a Bacchus Leap or a Thor Anvil of Dawn.
Even an Agni Dash. Both Thunderhead and Gup Squad have opted to go, if you're watching this from a Conquest lens, a mid laner, a solo laner, and a solo slash support. You see it with the Agni, Thor, Bacchus, the Opwash, Achilles, Artio. Something that I like a little bit more about Gup Squad versus Thunderhead's team comp, though, is that Gup Squad's able to get through objectives a little bit faster, I feel, because you have the Agni and the Bacchus, oddly enough. But Thunderhead's ability to kill players feels very, very strong if they are able to get to you, right? Opwash should be able to keep some of these folks at bay, but Achilles and Artio have to be in your face in order to get their damage off. Whereas Gup Squad, a lot of their damage actually happens at range. Thor has the wall plus the hammer that they throw out. Agni is known as the artillery character. Bacchus is here too, right? He's there in case things get a little too physical. Thank you.
I wanna get into game. Let's get into game now.
Game.
Let me
That was good. We should start a band.
I think the world could be spared from that at the moment. We'll stick with the commentary. We'll talk. We'll get a business deal.
We'll stay in our lane.
Make it happen. Thunderhead, Gup Squad, Musey, D'Lo, Red Rosie Panda, your almighty eye behind the sky, as well as Test Die. Jithin's there too, somewhere. Into Duin's basement. Hopefully not. Jithin's blink twice if you need help. if Duin's got you in his clutches. Now, Musey, take a look at these compositions. What should we expect? What's the identity of each one?
Tanks, and more tanks. Even the Opwash actually already has a rune there. The only one who's actually going all damage is going to be Agni. That's because Soul Reaver is still very strong, so you want to be able to pick that up. That's exactly how you kill tanks if you are a mage player in Smite 2. It's actually really solid, this Agni pick, the more I think about it. Very strong for Gup Squad, because it also is a direct answer to the Achilles as well.
Whoa, Achilles got an answer for you. Double shield bash stun. Body blocks there as well with a combat dodge, but luckily able to get on out thanks to a well-timed Bacchus flop from Savvy. Unfortunately, Musey, that heart did not make it through the transition into game, but the red buff is going to make it to the side of Thunderhead for now.
Joust games go one of two ways as a general rule. This game's going to end in like 10 or 12 minutes, or it's going to end in 24, 25 minutes. The scenario where this game ends in 10 to 12 minutes, very beneficial to Thunderhead because they don't need too much to get their damage online. Opwash is able to build some tank items, get right in there, and pop off. You have Achilles execute to finish off health bars. Artio has the Bumba's Cudgel to get a lot of cooldowns. It's good. Gup Squad, though, their ideal scenario is if the game goes longer, my Agni gets more items, we're in a better situation. We want Totem of Death. We want Soul Reaver. We want a Ratatouille down the line. Bunch of penetration against these tanks. And then we really get to shred. So right now, think of it this way. Gup Squad want to chill, maybe find some aggression if it benefits them. But Thunderhead have to be the aggressors. The later the game goes, the less I like their chances into the Gup Squad composition.
I also think that you mentioned it, Gup Squad prefer combat at range in a lot of ways between Mjolnir's Attunement, Rain Fire, Flame Wave. These are long-range poke options. Thunderhead have some of their own right, but think about their CC and how close quarters it has to be. You have Tectonic Rip from the Thor and Gup Squad, but you have the Roar from the Artio who needs to get up close and personal. Shield Bash, same story. Bacchus getting up close and personal, but unfortunately meets their end. Tries to belch, but instead sings their last note as they end up being taken out inside the mid lane. Thor separated on the left side and rooted down, taken out. Thunderhead grabbed the first 2 kills.
You'll notice Gup Squad, Savvy, the one that got involved in the fight right away. When it's kind of what I figured. You jump on this Thunderhead's composition, Opwash pops ult, Achilles ults you, and you're like, oh, I'm dead. Whoopsie daisies, right? They have a fair amount of lockdown too with Artio. If you get too close in this up in your face and up and close and personal composition, Thunderhead can just kind of wipe you off the board. So again, really looking at Gup Squad to play at range and play for their power spikes. We need Soul Reaver, we need Totem of Death. Once Grayson gets that online, then you can get very aggressive, and Thunderhead has to be careful. Early Prophetic Cloak here for less to mix. I do like it, D'Lo. Whoa, hello.
Anvil of Dawn's getting the back line, at the very least, but now crippled. Has no Mjolnir's Attunement to save them, has no beads, has to put on the Phantom Shell. Tries to throw out the hammer, but instead gets whacked. Lestimix will take them out. Finds a solid root on top of the Bacchus. Damage is already done. And Gup Squad, once again, not heeding that advice, Musi. They're just getting a bit too fritzy for their own good.
So Bayonary and Lestamix both have a prophetic cloak, and I like these items because it only takes 15 of each stack now to get it up and online. However, ulting into somebody as the Thor, trying to get that stacks going on, not ideal, right? We just saw what happened when you try to aggress on Thunderhead. They just turn on you, and, you die. So just make sure that you use Thorwald and Hammer to get your stacks. Thor's great at playing at range, at not necessarily needing to commit to you. He's really good because they have the option to either back up or go in. Play to that. This game needs to go long for Gup Squad, but Thunderhead are already pulling a pretty decent lead.
The game needs to go long, but the fights for Gup Squad feel like need to go short. If you commit in with the Mjolnir's Attunement or an Anvil of Dawn or the Belly Flop, the Ardio's not going to let you leave. You have to get those kills in one rotation of abilities, or else stay a while. You're not going anywhere. At the very least, a purple buff does grant a bit of respite. 5 minutes in, it's 3-0. About a 1k gold lead the way of Thunderhead. See if they can make it into more. Field comes out, but a great wall through the wall from the Thor. Ensures that Ardio cannot pursue. Gup Squad safe this time.
Again, Ardio has a giant cripple field, she has a root, Achilles has a stun, and the Opwash also has a stun available not only to the Bacchus but to the Thor as well because they went Thor aspect. When Thor gets the third hit of the hammer, you get a little bit of a tremble, but you know what else you get? A heal. There are so many heals in this game. Opwash just has so much value.
Bacchus gonna feel that value as they take half health from one rotation. The fatal strike puts Baron Air at the tip of the spear, though. Agni tried to dash in front of the bullet. I like the attempt there from Gray's Sin, but unfortunately, Barrow falls.
See Oracle Staff and that little reliquary there for Grayson. So the Soul Reaver is on the way. Grayson needs to back up. The fact that we also have so much tank attached, not just to the Achilles, but to the Opwash as well, means that ACD can also just stand in front of your face and be like, what are you going to do about it? I just do a bunch of damage because you're all healing in front of me. I'm Opwash. Love this character.
You know what also stinks, Musi? They don't have a typical ADC, which means there's no ranged autos to clear out the corpses, which might seem like a small minutia, but once those bodies really start to add up, it becomes an issue.
I almost would have liked to see the Agni aspect ADC, just to have somebody to deal with everything at range, specifically for the Opwash to take care of those corpses, but also once you connect to a tower or take a look at the Lost Knight, because it is on the field, being able to have that sustained damage to burn away that health bar would have been pretty handy, but even the Mage Agni kind of fulfills that niche, so I really like the team comp from Gup Squad. It just feels like we haven't quite put together how to deal with the Thunderhead comp.
Just to maybe just play it a bit farther back. Take your hits where they come, but also take your victories where they come as well. Don't try to force the issue. Red buff secured. This time, it'll be wrapped around the waist of the Achilles. And they resume the poking game, though at the very least the tower does stand pretty strong. That might change, though. Lost Knight's available. I see a blue buff invade coming out on the horizon.
I just saw the Soul Reaver is online for Grayson. That's a lot of damage. Percent health damage, which is integral for being able to burn away these tank health bars. But look on the other side of everything, right? I mean, double Genji's Guard between ACD and Lestamix, Breastplate of Determination, and that Runeforge Hammer for nil. So a lot of damage and a lot of tankiness. Being able to swap it over to the magical mode, good stuff.
Leading Breath applied. Bacchus flops on out. Will stay good this time around. Or, knowing the cripple field is down, able to do the same. Having a Stampede is going to be really important as well to immune those slows. Cripple field comes once back out again. As well as empty the crypts. Good double stun beneath the tower. Baron Ares, again, victim of the fatal strike. This time Savvy will join them. Agni has no dash. Agni's got no friends. Oh, the Duhav's maybe one last spear to the face. The corpse explosion doesn't even need the bodies, because Gray's Sin provides the resource instead. Deicide for Thunderhead.
Unfortunate. We have so many shells, but only one Aegis. So once Neil is able to get on top of you and Lestamix stands next to you with a cripple field, that is curtains for you. The benefit here for Gub Squad is that Thunderhead does not have the best way to take away towers, but it's a death by inches. They're just going to team wipe you over and over and over again until eventually your tower dies. You could even say that there's a benefit to keeping that tower alive until you're ready to push all the way through, because Thunderhead's minion wave is going to crash into that tower, and Gub Squad is just going to get denied more and more farm. Now, I mean, there's only one wave to share in Joust. It's actually so important that you don't miss any of it, but because Gub Squad has died so many times, now they're really behind.
And now Thor's really behind the enemy team, but really behind the damage they're doing as well. Tries to walk out, but gets stunned for their troubles. Field's down, the corpse explosion incoming. Great damage as well, and that's going to be one more kill. ICD puts on ice. Baron area will fall. Finds the double on top of Sabby as well. Tower will not save you for much longer, Agni. Their flames extinguished. Lest Mix finds the second deicide.
Definitely a turning point for this game. Well, maybe not a turning point per se. It's kind of like last deicide. We hit the iceberg, but like all the people in the boat are like, that was weird. Now the captain's kind of like, guys? Uh-oh. So if you're Gub Squad, yeah, I'd say we gotta get this water out of here. Gub Squad down so far. The damage just isn't coming through. These tanks are too tanky. It's not a great look.
They're trying for another one, though. Looking for the Opwash, but they have the beads, and ICD really does not seem bothered at all being dove in. Phantom Shell just for posterity. ICD was fine, and Sabby is certainly not. Nil going to take them out with a double alongside Baronary. And the Bears just walking on the coals. It's just a challenge. That Agni does absolutely no damage. 12-0, 10 minutes in. Thunderhead leisurely stroll to the Lost Night.
The Achilles does so much work here. We did not respect the Achilles pick enough. Oh my goodness. This Joust comp for Thunderhead, I fear could be a repeat offender if the other teams let this specific trio of gods through. Lesta Mix is brawling with Grayson, but I don't think the bear cares.
This is just fine for them. Might change if Sabby steps up. Thor once again off the mark with his Anvil of Dawn on the Lost Night. Does go the way of Thunderhead, grants them some health regen and some pen. ICD in trouble though. Separated, stunned, and we get the kill. Maybe
No
not
way.
Intoxicated Opwash,
No
able
way.
to just drunkenly wander around the portal. Somehow they're not being looked at, and they're able to heal off their own corpses.
We're on the
Finally,
board.
Baronary gets the shutdown. Is that enough? No. From the grave, ICD will have their head as well, and it's only the Bacchus left. I don't think they're surviving this one, Muse.
No, they're not. Bye, Sabby. It's been real. But you were able to take that Lost Night buff off of ACD, which is solid, which is good. We love that. The Lost Night buff, by the way, a little different from Fire Giant, right? The big focus for this Lost Night buff is health and mana regen, but also penetration. Delo, do you remember the numbers from the last time we were talking about this?
4.5%, baby.
I'm actually kind of impressed that you still had that in the back of your head. I mean, I guess we did. We said it.
We said it to
single game.
death, man. We really
Yeah.
beat that horse to the maximum. It's a stim. at
Look,
this
the
point.
horse is back. Picks up back. What told you what would happen if you came around here again? It's my best horse noise. I don't got much.
Oh boy, we're off to the races once more. Unfortunately, this horse has got a broken leg. Its name is Bacchus, but it is able to actually pick up the speed. Nice job, Secretariat. You're back home safe in the stables. Can't say the same for Thor, though, on the front lines. Definitely can't say the same for the Phoenix, slowly being burned away. And beneath that Lost Night buff, or debuff rather, it's disactivated. And so is the Life of Gray's Sin, taken out there courtesy of the rampaging
Tachyon.
bear. That's scary stuff. Phoenix finally down, and Bacchus in the back line?
Bacchus in a coffin. Down they go.
That sounds
We're
about
back
right.
in the mix, though.
Finds double stun, but finds no damage once again. Just trying to clear out the minion wave, I suppose, but just seems like a last effort from Baronary to try to distract the enemy. But Thunderhead are going to look ahead instead. That Titan.
Looks like they've got some minions to push into this Titan room. I don't even think they need any minions, realistically. This Titan is very squishy in Joust.
Yeah, at this point, just a slow battle of attrition. But some poke being applied here by Gray. Not too shabby.
back.
All right, Gray. You're doing some damage. Nice double stun there from the Thor. The Rain of Fire comes through. Empty the crypts. Has to force Gray to wander up through a lot of damage to try to save Thor, which they can't even do. Unstoppable for Lestamix, and Bacchus is out.
All the penetration, or rather all the protections in the world cannot save you from the small bit of penetration from Totem of Death, as Thunderhead are just kind of... I'm not going to say that they're playing with their food. Gup Squad is so low in level that they just constantly respawn to put more bodies into the grinder here, so Thunderhead can't end the game. But they were able to get quite a few kills, kill the Phoenix, have more gold, and oh look, Lost Knight's back up just in time for us to take a look at that again. So, if you're Gup Squad, we're looking to the sky, asking some questions. Maybe, why me? Maybe, please help. But we do have the Totem of Death Soul Reaver online for Grayson, and it looks like the Ob Shard is on the way too. Hopefully that'll be enough for this Agni to be able to really dissuade Nil and Lestamix from getting too aggressive on top of their team.
So far, it's not been the best deterrent. Baronary will dash out to safety, but might get rooted for their troubles. Lost Knight being foregone here by Thunderhead, and that does grant Gup Squad a bit of a chance, potentially. The hubris of Thunderhead could cost them, unless the Thunder God is off the mark once again with those Anvils of Dawns. Fields applied, empty the crypts as well. It's going to keep them inside for a good amount of time, but the tanks are a bit tankier. But Sabby sticks around a bit too long. Nil drops their health bar to 0. And now could be Agni right up next. Good cripple field applied, and the corpse will explode. Raze is dead, and only going to be the Thor to remain. Not do too much other than just watch as the Titan gets whittled away.
Down it goes. Baronary tried to keep everybody away, but ultimately just not enough. One more kill for ACD in the back pocket. We're padding stats over here. One person dead on the side of Thunderhead. Wouldn't you know it? It was the mid laner.
Well, MPen always did say that's a poverty role, so
Yeah.
all checks out, huh?
We should
Thunderhead
buff-
played that. We should buff Pop
We should buff up Wash. Yeah, I think so.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Get this guy on Titan Talk, am I right, folks?
Yeah, right.
So, Musi, you predicted this beautifully. You said this is going to be either a 15-minute game or a 25-minute game. It was about 20 minutes, but it was a complete snowplow. It was an absolute stomping. Why?
Basically, we didn't have enough Aegises to deal with the Achilles ultimate. I mean, this Achilles already got to the back line, and Alpwash is just constantly, throwing abilities and chipping away health bars, putting them just in range for this Achilles ultimate to sweep through and finish up that last chunk of damage that they needed. That really put this Thunderhead team over the line. But also, Gup Squad kind of fumbled it a bit in the early game, just didn't respect the fact that a lot of their power spikes are built off of items that Grayson needs. And without it, they just lack damage, they lack that threatening kill pressure, and ultimately they just lose fights.
I also think that Gup Squad were just a bit too antsy, and understandably so. You know, you're on the back end, you want to try to make something happen. I definitely respect the moxie, but Thunderhead certainly don't. They're diving your tower, they're double killing you. Even if you're tanky, it does not matter if you're beneath that threshold. Gup Squad with these Anvil of Dawns trying to make something happen proactively when what they really need to do, like you said, Musi, was farm on up. But they said, hey, we're not playing Farmville, we're playing Smite. Unfortunately, now you're playing out of the bracket.
Yeah, it'll be a rough way to start your morning, but still a lot of fun to be had in Joust. And this Thunderhead team looks pretty promising going forward. I'm excited to see how they do later in the day. If they're able to draft comps like this throughout the day, I'd be surprised if I didn't see them towards something like semis or even finals.
I just wouldn't be surprised if we saw another Alpwash top pick, top ban at some point. ICD proving that the nerfs were not enough. This god is still disgusting. The final one kill that Gup Squad were able to get is on ICD, but even in that chaos, it took way too long. Alpwash is incredibly survivable just with that Genji's guard.
Just the health regen, and think about it too, like Pwash's cooldowns getting lowered every time that they take a little bit of magic damage, throw out more corpses, and the Bacchus and the Agni always throwing damage at this Pwash. They're just like, oh, perfect. It's
Make
Speaking
sure
of
to grab
snacks,
some corpses if y'all are hungry. Get a snack, you know. Could be a corpse, could be popcorn, either way. More Smite Prime coming at you after the break. Hello, everyone, and welcome on back to Smite Prime Summer Bash, where the plays are always premium. D'Lo, here behind the mic. Musi, here in the stands right by my side. Almighty Eyes in the Sky, Tess Red Rosie Panda. Keep the broadlights on, that cam steady. Jithens, somewhere, hopefully escaped from Daduin's basement. You watching at home. Musi, how are we feeling as we hop into the bracket?
feel pretty good, right? Had a chance to get a bit of a wake-up call with that last game, and Thunderheads, loud and proud, like the lightning that strikes across, rippled through that game one, nearly uncontested, right? ACD was the only one to fall in the entire game. So hopefully they're able to keep that kind of performance moving forward, but it looks like some other notable names. Is that Sweaty Tryhards that won? That makes sense, right? Given the name. That's pretty heat.
Checks out. Means you really want to emulate your vision. You just got to manifest it with your team name. Checks out. I respect it. Team bans. Team picks. Coming at us in just a second. We have two new teams. Wolfie Lovers versus We Love You, Bill. Whoever Bill is, I'm sure they're really tickled pink about that, but I'm tickled pink about the players we got here. Tu vieja, old dedos, un equipo hispanohablante. Me gusta.
And Foxy.
and Foxy.
Oh, God.
Horror.
Well, that's Freddy that does that song.
That's true.
Okay. Leave the Five Nights at Freddy's aficionading to me. It's all right. It's all good.
You are the C2.
But you look over at the other side of the river here and gulp. Is that Nika? Oh my goodness. Nika, Benny Q, Zavries. Woo! Some pretty big names over there. I haven't had a chance to see Nika play in forever, so I'm actually pretty pumped to see them on the big screen here. And especially playing with Benny Q. I mean, it's just two players that I like watching. Zavries, I'm sure, is going to put on a show there too. If you're Woofy lovers, there's a lot to prove here. But Joust is anyone's game. This is a game mode that I feel especially can just snowball out of control if given the opportunity to do so. Looks like we did our homework from the last game, though. Because Horus, Achilles, Apwash, Kabrakan, Aphrodite banned away.
And double banned Opwash. They said, can we make him not playable for the rest of the tournament?
Done.
I don't think that's how it works. But I respect
Yeah.
it. What does that leave open is the question. I mean, you still have the Ardio, but are they as effective? You still have the Agni as well. The A-team rears their ugly head once more. Wolfie lovers, grab the Flame God.
You know, I feel like Merlin would also be really good in Joust. Yeah, it takes a little bit to get online, but like, again, giant black hole ability you just throw out there. It takes up the whole lane. Realistically, what are you doing about that except taking a ton of poke? Now, for We Love You, Bill, there are still some really solid tanks available. That Ardio that you mentioned before, Hoi could be a good shout. I would almost like Hades as well. I feel like Hades has a really solid place here. Oh,
this makes sense.
Interesting. Okay.
YouTube comments, get ready.
It's Fenrir. Cool.
With 3 heads.
3-headed Fenrir. Wow. So Guan Yu and Kerberos, I like this. It's a lot of healing, but also it's a lot of heal steal and a lot of good initiation CC there too. Guan Yu and the Kerberos can both kind of force a beads angle from Woofy lovers, and Agni doesn't have beads. Agni doesn't have a CC immune ultimate, so they have to get beads, is what I'm trying to say there. But with that trading exercise from Chiron, D'Lo, that's a good answer.
I've got to remember this music. Giddy Up and Flame Walk, the 2 dashes, are they knock-up immune?
They are displacement immune, yes. So you can play around the Kerberos ultimate with that. That's a good shout. Because a few patches ago, Kerberos ultimate was changed. It no longer levitates. It now is back to being a displacement. So this is what I was worried about. We're seeing it a little sooner rather than later, D'Lo. It's just all tanks. Oops, all tanks, right? Where you just tank your way through everything. You get a Soul Reaver and a Warrior's Axe, or a Soul Reaver and a Bluestone, and you're like, boom, done. That's it. That's our damage. Bluestone, Soul Reaver, and then take items. It happened in the second game. A little sooner than I thought it would be, but that's all right.
That's annoying, man. Like, we love you, Bill. You're ruining the bracket for the rest of us. Like, come on, let us have like one game where we're just like slapping each other. But nope. Oops, all tanks. I do love some Captain Crunch. Oops, all berries. But sometimes, you know, the little yellow things, like, it's what makes the Crunch berries good. You have to get through the, you know, the filler to really reward yourself with the delicious Crunch berry. We love you, Bill. Say nope. Your greed sickens me, Benny Q. Your greed sickens me. Usually's taking a break.
Sorry, I'm
so
allergic to
overwhelmed by
crunch berries.
emotion. So overwhelmed by emotion. Seeing 3 tanks in round 2. Sylvanas is the response from
Beautiful, man. I can't believe this.
a lot of sustain, which Cerberus is just going to take for himself, like the greedy little dog he is. So I'm concerned, man. We love you, Bill. Got a really good hand at this.
Well, let's not theory craft about who has the upper hand over here. Let's just jump into the game and find out for ourselves, D-Lo, between Woofy Lovers and We Love You, Bill.
Alrighty. We'll see if they can take it to them. We love you, Bill, like you said. They're tanky from the outset. Does that mean that on this end of the spectrum of either snowball or be snowballed, does We Love You, Bill have the advantage early? Should Woofy Lovers be looking for a fight in these first 2 minutes or so?
Minions have spawned.
I'm almost looking at We Love You, Bill's team and going, oh, they should feel pretty good early. A lot of what makes characters like Agni and Chiron strong are the items that they're able to build. Whereas tanks tend to scale with levels in terms of their damage. They have higher base numbers, so they don't need to invest as much into scaling. Characters like Chiron and Agni, these squishy carry characters, need their items in order to deal the damage with their scaling.
Oh, poor Sylvanas, pulled into the back lines and slowed down as well. Nothing to do but try to throw a few more autos. Benny Q grabs first blood.
Couple of beads there for our Chiron and our Agni. They even had one there for Sylvanas, but Sylvanas is not a terribly mobile character, and if you get sucked even once by the Atlas or stunned by a Kerberos, it is just bad news bears. Plus, look at the builds around here. I do see the Warriors X there for Sylv. Some true damage will be very handy when dealing with big health bars. The Bluestones are good for shred. But look at the Vamp Shroud for Nika. That's a lot of sustain for this Kerberos. Being able to jump in on a minion wave, pop a breath on a minion wave, and get a bunch of healing.
Okay, luckily not going to see a repeat just yet of the first blood, but it was pretty close. Old Dados with a good stun there. Make sure to keep themselves safe. Worth noting that, nope, never mind, hold on. Cerberus is in the action, and Sylvanas is once again in the frying pan. Benny Q takes him out, courtesy of the Cerberus ult.
The purification still down for the Sylvanas that was pulled earlier for the first blood that happened. Level 5 difference there for We Love You, Bill. And here's the thing, too, about Relics and Joust. They are so much more important than Conquest because you are fighting in like a team fight scenario way more frequently. And when I say way more frequently, I actually mean to say constantly. Right? Your beads being down for 3 minutes means that you are just going to get picked off cooldown by this Kerberos ultimate the second it comes back up. So you have to play extra safe and make sure that you're using the beads only when you have to. We need to see more training exercises from the Chiron. So hang back a little bit and kind of play as a pseudo support for your team until you are able to get your damage online.
It's just rough, man. It just feels like the game plan from We Love You, Bill is to abuse Sylvanas. Environmentalists will be very upset by this game, but it's a good strategy considering that lack of mobility, you know? They only have the Terra's Wrath, that ultimate, to ensure they can shrug off the CEC. And once those beads are down, you know what's coming up next. The damage from We Love You, Bill is just so innate in the kit. It doesn't rely on all those fancy bits and baubles, those items like you mentioned, Musi, that Woofy lovers are holding out for. We Love You, Bill. From the get-go. Got a Yogi's necklace? This is looking scary.
Ever since I got my Yogi's necklace, I've been able to sustain forever. I haven't had to back to base for mana in 3 years. So we have Vamp Shroud and Yogi's, the Heartward Charm already for our Guan Yu, and a Book of Thaw started for Benny Q. So the Atlas is going to be going more damage, like a Meiji type build, which Benny Q is known for. He's done this with Atlas, he's done this with Charon. But the Guan Yu is here just to not only throw down heals. The heal isn't a lot, but it's the cooldowns that come with it. Oh my.
And speaking of, a bunch of beads cooldown just came offline, and as well as Centaurus. Doesn't matter, Rockin' can't find the kill, which means instead it goes to We Love You, Bill. Dedos avoids the pull, so they stay alive for now. Those whiffs going to try to get him popped off in terms of health, but I don't think you should be stepping up there, Agni. We got stuns too. Cerberus evaporates them with some help from Benny Q. Just a bit too far forward for the Agni.
Had 2,600 gold in hand at that point. It'll be enough for a full Chronos Pendant when they come back, but Wheelo Ubil getting things started early, not only with kills, but a pull on the Lost Knight. Very, very, very early pull. It's only 4 minutes, but they'll have the damage to deal with it, right? Well, more accurately, they have a bunch of sustain and big health bars to sit here and tank it until Woofy Lovers decides to try to interfere. But remember, no ultimate for our Chiron means that stealing is hard.
Agni can give it a shot, but those bombs are not hitting the same way. In fact, you're just making the job a bit easier for the burn. But Rock-On does secure it, actually, for Woofy Lovers, and finds the kill as well. On the board now, it's a good Nature's Grasp, and Guan Yu does not have great mobility, nor do they have ultimate. The bombs try to lock off their pathway, but the Phantom Shell gives them a way back in. Now Agni might be in danger, actually. A bit too close for comfort, and their hands get burned. Benny Q finds the kill, drops down the laser. Feed's forced out here from the Chiron, who rings around the Rosie to keep themselves safe, but Chiron doesn't have great damage either. Centaurus finds decent numbers, but not enough. The Guan Yu can sustain through it as well. And guess who's back? It's Nika. Terra's Wrath finds the knock-up, trying to look for Guan Yu, but instead Chiron's the one who falls. Zappa, unfortunately in too deep, is now going to go down in defeat. That tree will get cut down shortly unless the Agni can provide some means of safety, but I don't think it's going to happen, buddy. Rover's got to go.
Man, the Guan Yu sustain is crazy. Not only keeping themselves alive, but constantly making sure that Benny Q's health bar is high enough to be able to stand in front of some damage to help cover for Zav. So Woofy Lovers had a really solid steal there around that Lost Knight. But unfortunately, Wheelo Ubil's team fight just too strong, right? And we have to make sure that we're hitting the right people. This Atlas should be where a lot of our damage is going. This guy's not building any kind of protection. Yeah, they're, a character with base numbers. Oh, you are dead, by the way. But you gotta kill the Atlas at the end of the day. Undefined is gonna keep doing this forever and ever and ever.
Rock-On's looking a lot like the horse that we keep beating every single time this Lost Knight comes out, which, by the way, all the buffs were lost, which is truly unfortunate, too. Zapatu steps up, Firebomb comes out, and the laser will drop as well. Agni's safe, but certainly hurt.
So waiting for that Soul Reaver for Agni. A pull and a Sil Vault there.
Unfortunately, the damage from this Chiron is not enough to really do much follow-up there, Musy, but at least it gets you a bit of respite. 6 minutes in, it's 1-8. We allow you Bill. Right, that 1-9, and a solid 2,000 gold lead.
Oh,
Lovers try to come back with Centaurus. They find the arrows, but they don't have the masterful shot. So unfortunately, can't buff up those numbers just yet.
And because Zav is sitting here with a Heartward Charm and a Sands of Time, we're just gonna spam heal and it'll be back up in no time. Chiron does not have access to those tools. They're going to die underneath the tower. Atlas, with that giant Astrolabe Dilo, just has so much AoE damage to throw out there. And just being able to hit each tick of that damage, each auto, right, means that we're getting more stacks from our Totem of Death, so prots are being shredded, and we don't really have that many prots to begin with. Like, the only person who's building it is Old Dedos, the Sylvanas. Or no, excuse me. The other one. Was it Vieja?
That's not a Buick.
To Vieja?
Don't talk about my Vieja like that.
Well, I say, you're the pronunciation guy, right? I live in Wisconsin. I need your help.
Can't believe you're talking about my mother like that. Insane work here for my co-commentator. Guan Yu. Insane body blocks.
Insane work.
From Zap.
Wow.
Take them out. Nice work. Cerberus, though, will lock him down and pay them back in kind. Divine for Benny Q, who's 9-0 on this Atlas. Yuck. Woofy Lovers, though, with that body block, they show me their ball knowers. Just, they gotta be ball showers, too.
From the three-point line, you gotta be able to swish, right? Shout out Nyx. But, unfortunately, the only person who's getting put in a basket is the Sylvanas. Zdika swoops in for the last bit of damage there.
Dribble the players, Musy. That's not allowed. Benny Q somehow still able to live too. 9-0 is disgusting.
Do you think Sylvanas makes like a bouncy ball sound when he hits the floor, like poof, 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 poof?
I think, yeah, Sylvanas himself is probably, oh, ah, oh.
Oh, yeah, because it's worth noting, Sylvanas is the guy that's on the tree. The tree's name is Grover. So I guess
Come on, folks.
I guess my real question was, does Grover make the bouncy ball sound? He's going boof, boof, boof. And then Sylvanas is like, ooh, wah, wah, yeah.
Probably sounds like wood splintering, honestly.
Just breaks into a million
Really
pieces
violent.
the first bounce. This is a terrible ball.
Aw.
Yeah, it's a tree. What did you
Not really gonna work
what
out.
do you think was gonna
What were you
happen?
expecting?
I don't know.
Unfortunately. I just thought that
I just thought
would
maybe.
work.
Oh
You
man.
could try something different. Well, Wolfie Lovers got to try something different here, Musey. They're having a really hard time just kind of knocking their head against this wall as we love you, Bill. A little cavalry charge.
He's down.
There. Trades out now for the Stygian Torment, who does manage to outlast CC immunity from the Sylvanas ult, which means Sylvanas has no means of getting out of this fight. Benny Q grabs one more kill, make it double digits for the mid.
It's a slow, agonizing death here from We Love You, Bill. As now we're just diving the Phoenix. Nika is going to
Tower's
think better
not
of
dead.
it and back off. Yeah, the tower's not even dead. We're just kind of pressing buttons. But remember, we are 3 tanks and a clown car, so our ability to take these towers is fairly limited. So there is some time in the horizon for Wolfie Lovers to get their items online. Finally, an Oathsworn Spear. Pick up for our Chiron to go with our Avenging Blade. So we do have some Prot Shred on the Avenging Blade. We've got some Prot Shred from our Oathsworn Spear. We don't have a lot of attack speed, so we're just very reliant on hitting these abilities in order to get the damage across. Soul Reaver there for the Agni 2. Let's see if it helps him.
Well, Cavalry Charge does come out, gets canceled. They're just looking for the stun to try to lead into maybe the suck. I like the idea. Execution's a bit off the mark, though. Musey, it's already bad news bears here for Wolfie Lovers, but I got some more bad news for you. I'm out of cookies. I'm out of Trader Joe's cookies that I've been eating for the last 5 minutes.
What kind of cookies? Like chocolate chip?
Jubilant
or
Sprinkle cookies. They're really good.
Jubilant Sprinkle cookies?
You got a problem?
I just think Jubilant seems a bit excessive. Wow,
Wow.
what a pull there. Oh, that was
Yeah.
good.
Really saved me from doing my job. Thanks, Zap.
What a jubilant pull.
Yippee!
Woo! Woohoo! Hey, the tower's hit
Chiron instantly going to be put back into the misery as the Ghastly Breath
Aw.
just shreds them apart. There's just so much damage coming out here from these supposed tanks. It's 2 tanks and like the tank in a trench coat because this Atlas is building nothing but damage. Book of Thoth stacked up. Divine Ruin as well. This is just
Yeah.
yucky stuff to be
There's the
honest, 'cause-
Ob Shard.
Oh no.
Yeah. I like the Divine Ruin too, Dilo. Especially because there's a lot of like sneaky healing from, well, sneaky healing from a Chiron, very overt healing from a Sylvanas.
Not very subtle.
So we have some, yeah, not subtle at all. Very, very much out there, which, you know, good for
I
them.
see you doing that.
Yeah, I'm literally trying to find more jubilant cookies at the grocery store, and I can hear you on the other side of the aisle.
Healing. How could you?
Healing.
Maybe Rockon could have used it. Good ultimate comes out from the Sylvanas, but amongst the laser, not too much to be done, except give Benny Q the Immortal. Old Deos, quick on their feet enough to get out of the fray. That's going to open up this Lost Night for We Love You Bill. What's that going to give them, Musey? What buffs they get?
Some penetration, maybe 4.5% mana heal and health heal. A little hover on that bad boy. Double check our work.
Back,
On
baby.
you. There it is.
On the horse. And Sylvanas back in the blender once more. He's just a tree, leave him alone, and he's cut down to lumber. Benny Q grabs their 12th kill, and now can look towards the Phoenix. Cerberus there to just instantly cut off Old Dados' escape, but they do still have the beat. Solid work by the Agni, but is it enough?
Look at the cooldown there. Benny Q still has their ultimate available, and Chiron as well. Birds up, but we're fighting in the Titan room.
Well, Rockon's not fighting any longer. They're going to go down once more. And that's all she's going to write for our friend the Wolfie Lovers. Sadly, love does not win this war. Godlike for Benny Q. Tanks win wars, is what we're quickly finding out. We love you, Bill. The power of love by their side. Able to march into that throne room and take the fight to the Titan.
Maybe by Sylvanas has the defense of a lifetime. He's plucked, he shells, he beads. The damage is that he's dead.
Fare thee well. As the Titan begins to get whittled down, Woofy lovers see their
Slowly but
last,
surely.
but at the very least, they made the second round. You still had a good run, my friends, but unfortunately that horse can sprint no longer. We love you, Bill. Take the game.
Yeah, and this is what I was anticipating. I just didn't think it would happen so soon, right? The real secret to Joust, Jubilant Sprinkle. Wow, those are ridiculous.
They look delightful, don't they?
That is so full of, and that is an appropriate amount of whimsy for you. We need some of that whimsy because it's gonna be triple tanks the whole way down. I don't know. It's very hard to not want to go characters that have crazy, big beefy health bars that can also just do damage. Now maybe this is just a Medicuism where, I'm playing a quote unquote guardian in mid again because it's fun, right? Well, if we're gonna play a quote unquote guardian in mid, can I see a Jormungandr min? Can a caster see Jormungandr min? I just miss Seahost a lot, right? Like that's just kind of where I'm chilling, but it just is what it is. The higher up you go with like ranked Joust and comp Joust, the tankier everybody gets, and it just becomes a slogfest fist fight of just big beefy health bars.
It just seems like the characters that have innate stats and kits to do damage will always be better than the characters that have to get those items, have to get those bits and baubles, Au natural is how we like it. But Woofy lovers have to instead grab a lot of items to ensure that they can get to that stage where they're able to get those kills. And we let you build. Teams that have the experience, Musy, teams with competitive know-how are not going to ever let you get to that.
Yeah, they're just gonna cut you off right where you stand. I will say this, the builds coming from We Love You Bill are really neat. They just got some heat with that build. The Kerberos especially feels very aggressive, gets a lot of damage across, but Zab's Guan Yu build, that doublet of binding, which I feel is actually incredibly viable. Seeing its chance to get even just a little bit of play, I think is really, really fun, especially with some of the changes that it saw recently. I think it's buildable in Conquest. Like, I would have seen more of it picked up in Conquest, but hey, I'll settle for Joust.
And we'll have to settle for waiting just a little bit longer to get some more, folks. Stick around. More Smite Prime Summer Bash right after this. Hello, everyone. Welcome on back to Smite Prime EU Joust Summer Bash, where the plays are always premium. D-Lo, you're behind the mic. Musy, still right by my side, looking handsome as ever, might I say. Tess, Red Rosie Panda, Jithins, you know the squad, you know the bracket. We're going to show it to you anyway here, Musy. We just saw a pretty solid stomping there, honestly. When are we getting a gosh darn competitive game? That's what I want to know.
Well, let's take a look at who we got here. Optimus Gang, that has to be fire. Low Prio Q, I know that name. Duduin's Basement versus Tough Pigeons. Stephen Bunting? I'd have to double check the check-ins there. But still some really fun names here in quarterfinals. Once we get to semis, though, I mean, we'll probably see it in our next game, D'Lo. It's going to be tanks all the way down.
Gosh darn it. Well, at least the team names are fun, because the team composition certainly won't be. We're going to be looking up next to our friends Duduin's Basement. What is inside? We'll find out shortly. And Tough Pigeons. How tough are those pigeons? Well, hopefully tough enough. We'll see if they got the right stuff to call their bluff. P's and B's coming at us right now, and never mind.
I imagine the pigeons will be pretty tough considering their metal exteriors and, being robots and all. But I feel like they'll be able to deal with some punishment thrown out to them. Should be pretty interesting. And I know there's always some stigma about, oh man, it's all tanks again. Oh geez, this sucks. When are we gonna get some real damage characters? Right? I'm having the time of my life. This is like solo lane, but bigger, right? Like this is one very large stick solo lane. We just threw 3 solo laners in there. Maybe one of them can be a jungler if they want to go do some other stuff. But I will say this: if you're a tank player, watching these Joust games. A lot of ball to be picked up here in terms of builds and itemizations and just like, oh, okay, that could be heat, right? I screenshotted the Kerberos build for myself, right? I'm gonna go terrorize some casual queues later with that. We'll see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, all I know is that I'm just gonna at Nika on Twitter, be like, this build sucks. Why did you do this to me? And Nika will be like, who are you? What is this?
Ooh.
Why are you adding me on Twitter? Leave me alone. Yeah, right.
I got a question for you. I got a question for you about just the landscape here, because I think we've laid out what compositions could be in terms of the general archetypes these gods fulfill. Do you have any opinions given the items game and where we are with the item state? Is it better for us to invest in 2 physical, 1 magical, or 2 magical, 1 physical? We saw what that Genji's guard can do when put on the god likes of Opwash. Does that mean that we should try to avoid a god composition where magical damage is the heavy investment?
So, here's the thing with that. You need some magical damage, or some int scalar, right? Which usually comes in the form of magical gods, because you need Soul Reaver. You need it, right? To some degree or another, in order to deal with all these tanks that are going to be coming through here. You also need a mage to have AoE damage to be able to clear a wave effectively if you need to be able to kind of hang back. So you need at least 1 magical character.
You'll
probably lean towards 2 because Guardians, quote unquote, keep in mind all of this terminology is actually thrown out. Like, we don't really use that anymore. Guardians are not real because there are no Guardian passives. You know, we have things like Nuker and Sharpshooter and stuff like that. But for those of us that kind of still live Smite 1-brained, Sylvanas, the Guardian, you need characters like that as well because they have a ton of CC, which you need to be able to threaten in order to force relics like the beads or, you know, try to force away a CC immune ultimates. Basically, you need to be able to cover options, right? You're trimming a lot of fat away from that 5v5 team fight and thinking what really matters in a 1-lane game. You're thinking about a mid 3v3 as a general rule. Maybe a mid laner, a jungler, and a support. But instead of a jungler, you're just looking at a second support, basically. And that's kind of the structure for these team compositions. At least in my mind, that's how I kind of contextualize it.
So anticipate seeing more of the same ilk. And when you think about it, that's kind of what we've gotten so far. Opwash with Ardio. 2 magical gods invested with the Achilles. They stomped. Atlas, Cerberus, paired with their friend the Guan Yu. They stomped. We're seeing a bit of a theme here. Oh, maybe there's someone who's going to throw a wrench in the plans, or maybe, you know, if you can't beat them, join them. Could also be the methodology we see here. But as we wait for peaks and bans to come down, I anticipate it will indeed be that latter. So I'm curious to see what these 2 teams end up cooking up, especially Deduin's Basement, who, when we had that last Joust tournament, if I recall correctly, Deduin's team made it rather far, especially with that Kabrakan, who we have, for good reason, seen banned quite a bit.
Yeah, Kabrakan's one of those characters that would thrive in a Joust situation. The ult can cover one of the entire corridors leading towards the jungle on that left-hand side. But also, because we're all in such close approximation to each other, being able to have that damage mitigation aura around him and his teammates means that you're almost always getting some value there for the rest of the squad, but just being able to hold people in place with your stun-to-stun combo. And a cripple, which you can do, not only does Xavier tremble, but he hits that last slam, it causes the cripple to happen. There's just a lot of CC to be had there, and he does a ton of damage. So that's why Kabrakan is generally taken off the board here.
We'll see if he ends up getting picked up or dropped off back in the ban bin as we hop on in P's and B's. We've also been seeing a lot of Afro banning, which I find interesting in terms of the decision of do we ban an Afro versus an Opwash. First game, they pry out banning the Afro, which is what allowed the Opwash through. Is it better to ban the healer, or is it better to ban the anti-healer that is kind of causing a ruckus? It's been interesting because it feels like we're for some reason leaving one or the other instead of taking off both.
I would ban Aphrodite over Opwash in this scenario, right? That character is just kind of she's very good. She's very good. There's a specific build with her right now where you go like Genji's Breastplate, Bluestone, Heartroot Charm, and then you just birds again constantly, right? Not only is she a bunch of sustain deal, she's a bunch of damage, which is what pushes her over the edge.
Well, You see here now at the left edge of the ban list, Aduin's Basement Take Her Away, which means Opwash is open. It was open last time around. No, it was actually double banned last time around, so that means it's not available for anyone. In fact, RDO makes their return, is able to step out of Aduin's Basement for some fresh air.
Kagiomi Tyramatized. That's funny. Can't wait for Tyr Badisi versus Adapting, Deduin, and Sap 7. Tough Pigeons have a tough matchup, but you didn't make it to semifinals for no reason. Opwash would not be a bad shout here. Ardio's got a lot of healing in her kit, so Fleeting Breath gets a ton of value. The question is, what else can you follow it up with? Baron.
Baron Samity.
I don't hate this. Oh,
I like that.
I'm waiting for the Opwash lock in.
That's true.
Man,
okay,
Fleeting Breath just kind of tears these other two characters
oh,
apart. But it's gonna
crap.
be Vulcan. So I think we're okay.
That's surprising. Huh.
It is surprising. That's not what I expected. Maybe we could
Dune's
have an
Basement
Opwash for Tough Pigeons.
Could be. Honestly, wouldn't be too shabby to put that Ardio in her place with that same ability, that Fleeting Breath. Medusa's got anti-heal of her own right. Lacerate. Takes him down a little bit. Some notches. Tough Pigeons, though, what they have that I like a lot is depositioning abilities, right? I'm thinking the Earthbreaker. I'm thinking the Life of the Party. Ways to get you into my tower and ways to stop you from escaping.
Cernanos.
So I like Fry on it. Ha.
But, yeah, thank you. Cernanos could be a pretty decent shout here. Got a giant AoE ultimate. Oh, no, never mind. Scratch all of that analysis away. Naja. I hope it's the aspect Naja. That means Baron. No, Baron can still kind of go tank. This Naja can go tank. So Tough Pigeons kind of got the memo here. Vulcan with aspect I think is really funny here too, Dilo. Just because you're able to go like Warrior's Axe and then you're just building Genji's Breastplate, Soul Reaver, and suddenly you're just able to deal as much damage as the rest of them. The Medusa is going to be the character that is going to be interesting here for Deduin's Basement. I feel like that's the backup plan, right? That's the, all right, this game's going pretty long. That's okay. Our Medusa just finished Titan's Bane. Let's kill people, right? Just have to make sure that we're not going anything like Devos. Remember that Devos stacks off of minion kills or god kills. You're sharing one wave. That's kind of tough to balance around, so I'm expecting something like an Avenging Blade, Lernium Bow combination for Medusa, just to start things off.
Well, we're going to start things off right now with the game as we hop on in to Deduin's Basement. If you ever wanted to see what this famous Smite Prime player's basement looked like, it's looks like the Joust map? Huh.
Very well furnished.
Interesting interior design. Yeah, really.
You know what? It is giving European, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you can really tell with the architecture here. I feel like a tour guide. You look to your left, you'll see a tier 1 tower that will shoot you. Do not touch it.
Don't please stand behind the line. The wildlife here. The animatronics get a little freaky at night.
Hello? Off to a great start. hello. Animatronics being the red buff, I suppose, which is handily taken down by Deduin's Basement and now wrapped around Adapting's waist.
It's a selflessness start here for Tyramatized. The Hercules opting for a lot of safety with their team. Oh my goodness.
Deduin no longer has any. Out of the basement into the back line thanks to that driving strike, but they're okay still. Worth noting, Ronin has not gone the aspect, instead is being very selfless with those heals, sharing them for the rest of the team.
Honestly, with no Fleeting Breath or anything like that, I don't hate that. Oh, I don't like the Naja that went in there, though.
Yeah, that Armillary Sash gets them actually completely eviscerated by Deduin's Basement. First Blood goes their way. I like the idea, but doesn't seem like Tough Pigeons were ready for the engage call into the backline themselves. So now it's a purple buff being added to the Belf list of the Medusa.
Blue Stone for Baron. So they're going to be throwing out a lot of abilities and spamming. Early Chronos Pendant will make sense there. The rest of the stuff, though, Sap 7 did not go the aspect for Vulcan, and we see that Sansa time and Gem, so we're going to have a full damage Vulcan, likely a full damage Medusa. So this is a little different from maybe what we were initially expecting, given that we were like, oh, it's tanks all the way down. Now it's going to be a tanks all the way down team versus maybe something that you would see in a casual Joust game. Of like, yeah, I'm locking Medusa and Vulcan, playing with my bros. We're going to start to run it down here. And What is going to be fairly interesting here is the fact that Tough Pigeon should have an earlier advantage, given the fact that they don't really have to rely on items to get their damage across, at least not if you're Hercules or Naja.
What does have me worried, of course, is the fact that this cripple field on the RDO. We also have this Naja knockup on top of Sap. Where's the follow-up? Baron lasers is something, sure, but not all that much. In fact, Baron's now the one in trouble. Might be the last Ronin there, but they're able to dodge the Earthshaker and find a pretty solid heal. Vegas forced out there for the Hercules. Now to do it. Forced under the tower. Great driving strike from Traumatized to get on the board.
Ooh, adapting. Had hit Medusi with that Viper shot. Luckily, the Naja was able to heal in the backline just in time. Looks like Tough Pigeons are going to be able to turn it around early, which is nice. I worry a bit about how they're going to keep up with the damage that Deduin's Basement does, just by virtue of the fact that they have two characters that can get that damage across the board. Baron didn't go the aspect, which is good, shares a lot of the heals with your team, but you lose a lot of damage when you do that. It's worth noting that even Barons in like solo lane or support still go the aspect, just because the damage that is done by Baron is still very, very highly valued. Also being able to keep your consumable constantly regenerating is fun too.
But those heals are nice when your Hercules is dropped down to half, so at the very least, we can see the logic even if we're not seeing the damage from Ronin quite just yet. Meatball thrown out. That's going to be the red buff engaged on once more. Maybe to do it instead. Knocked up and put away. What a great rebound there with the baseball, too. I don't think that's regulation for the sport, but still looks pretty. Tough Pigeons get a second kill.
Yeah, you're going to need a pretty big catcher's mitt in order to hold that in your hand. My goodness. But that's what makes a lot of sense for Tough Pigeons here, right? High base numbers for their damage. They don't have to invest in any damaging items. They can go tank, and they can still be able to find some kills. So Deduin's Basement are trying to fight against the clock more than anything. Vulcan has a breastplate already. Interesting. Good solid response to the fact that the Hercules and the Naja is just running at you. But the Medusa is what I'm really looking at. With that Learning Imbo, now Skagox, gotta make sure that we get some more damage.
Whoa, great Petrifying Gaze finds 3 from adapting, and Ronin will go down. Turn to stone. Naja ultimate, not going to find too much follow-up, but a great driving strike to meet the Lacerate. An immovable object meets a very stoppable force, and now adapting's dead.
Medusi getting chased down by Deduin and Sap 7. The Sash will buy you some
another
time,
Sash.
but ultimately not enough time. So Deduin's Basement are able to find their get back, as it were. Tough Pigeons, I feel like, are gonna experience some growing pains in a moment here, especially now that we know that adapting is gonna have some extra damage online. The penetration should be right around the corner. And Deduin's gonna get tankier and tankier ever since I got my Yogi's Necklace Dealo. I've been able to fight
boy.
all day and night. One of the big
Second
strengths
horse.
of this Deduin comp is the fact that we're able to take a look at that Lost Knight, which we're doing right now. It's dead already, because we've got the shred to be able to sneak it away from Tough Pigeons.
Oh, look, the first horse. Bop! Beat that one,
Boom.
too. 5 minutes, 3-3. Even on the board, but look where the kills lie for Tough Pigeons versus Deduin's Basement. Quite literally, an absolute opposite of philosophies. All the kills for Pigeons on Traumatized, and thankfully so quite well, but the moment they go down, they're in a lot of trouble. It's a lot of shutdown gold, whereas Deduin's Basement, they spread the love.
Spread the love. Everybody gets picked in this house. Battleaxe and Skagox are adapting. What are you building? My friend. Oh, it's Avenging Blade. Prot Shred, of course. Goofy, silly me. Goofy, silly Hercules.
Goes back in with the goofy, silly driving strike. Whoa, that is not goofy nor silly. That learning bow does damage. Forces Naja out of the sky, only to land into a Petrifying Gaze, spit off the timing. But the kill still falls. Adapting will grab that. Deduin now fighting beneath the tower. Does not fear Traumatize. A double kill for adapting and a shutdown to boot. That tower is shut down as well, so it can't do too much about it, as the Deduin's Basement wreak their havoc.
Well, we do need a little bit more damage if you're Tough Pigeons. And I really think that the Baron aspect might have been enough to push us over the ledge. Ronin's going to have an uphill fight, but with that Totem of Death online, we'll have a little bit of extra shred. Feels like Medusi's been having kind of a tough go of it. This Naja has to artillery sash to get in, and then you can take somebody up with the ultimate. Notably, consistently, we should be able to find either Vulcan or Artio, because they don't have beads. But once this Naja is going in, it feels like Taduan's Basement's been doing a really good job just turning on top of this Naja and being like, yo, what are you doing here? What's the big deal? Naja's like, well, gulp. I was hoping that maybe I could, and Taduan's Basement's like, you have a Runeforge and a Glad Shield. Have you met my friend Vulcan? Mamma mia.
Bop!
Bop! A third dead horse. Triple kill.
No.
Oh,
This
single
is
kill.
trouble. Ronin gonna go down there to Taduan's claws. Good knock up there. But there's no follow-up post-driving strike, which means that traumatized. There's some PTSD themselves. Good rock to follow up the Windfire wheels, but now there's nothing left for Bedussi to do but die. Adapting will grant them reprieve from the Mortal Coil. Killing spree for the Medusa, and only traumatized able to live.
This is the drawback of the Naja, I fear, like I was saying before, right? You get in there, you get your ult off, everybody from Taduan's Basement turns around and goes, so, you new to town, or what's going on here? It is unfortunate that Ronin has been getting picked off a little bit earlier in these fights. It feels like Taduan's Basement understands the target prioritization, right? Because once Baron's dead, who's going to kill you? Pretty much nobody.
Yeah, dude.
Adapting's got Frenzy Dagger. We have a Divine online for Sap 7, so now the healing, the sustain from each of the gods from Tough Pigeons is lessened by 25%, plus that Chain Lightning that the item throws out when you deal damage can tear through a health bar if you're not careful.
As well as the fact that these turrets are actually a really annoying nuisance to grind through. These gods, how do you do it? Meatball only smacks against the Aegis, but could be still trouble for the Baron since the Earthshaker comes through and Ronin's dead. That means you have no heals. How do you kill them now? Certainly not with that boulder. Good Aegis there for Taduan's Basement, keeps them all alive. And Traumatized tries to tiptoe around. Good Universe Ring, bounces around, but doesn't find enough damage to really finish the job. You're only prolonging the inevitable. Adapting to Taduan, work together to make it now inevitable? Deicide for Taduan's Basement, and now a Lost Knight to boot.
It's here. Link, it's gone. That mid bird. I guess it's a mid bird, the only bird. Could be a left bird if you, like, stand over to the side a bit. Regardless,
All perspective.
it will be disabled. And Taduan's Basement will have some extra health, mana regen, and penetration for their troubles. This team, whose win con was making sure that Medusa gets the items that she needs and Vulcan gets the items that they need, gonna be able to kind of start walking it down. Tough Pigeons, a lot of tanks, but now the no damage side of things, and Taduan is unafraid of them.
And, you know, I first saw that driving strike, and I was like, Taduan's in trouble. Then I looked at the bird. I'm like, why aren't you doing anything, buddy? Ronin not doing anything for 30 more seconds. They're dead. Same story for the Hercules, who's turned into a stone garden. Rampage there from the Medusa. Last kill coming up. It's Taduan's. It's a deicide, and it might just be game for Taduan's Basement.
Well, Taduan still has ultimate. Haha, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Shout out Artio. But Tough Pigeons have no such luxuries. This Titan gets shredded away. Turns out, if you build a couple of damage carries, the game can be ended in a decent amount of time. Taduan's Basement will walk away with the win. So, we just spent so much time talking about how it's going to be tanks all the way down. I think it's very refreshing to the both of us to see that maybe that isn't quite the case so far.
Papa. You know what's nice about that is just that it means there's different philosophies we can see, and we can see how they end up slating up against each other too. And it's a team that has experience, so you know this is like an actual potential investable strategy. I think the issue is I didn't really get a chance to say it because that game went by so quick, Newsy. I think Bedussi played fine. In fact, they had some really solid artillery sashes to dodge incoming damage, but I have not met a Naja I liked. I just think that god it has not. I have not in Smite 2. I feel like this god never gets paired with adequate follow-up. You don't want a Baron Samity once you land from Windfire Wheels. You want a frickin' Cuckoo ult. You want something big and stupid. And that's on the other team with Sap 7. So, Bedussi tried their gosh darndest, but you are quite literally engaging to die with that artillery sash. You are all commit, but no bit.
All commit and no bit is an elegant
I'm not
way
laughing.
to put that, D'Lo. I like it. Yeah, we're not laughing. It ain't a joke, son. But No, you're definitely right. We had definitely this philosophy of we're gonna grind out these fights with Tough Pigeon's team comp, but there wasn't a whole lot of grinding to be done because Zaduin's basement had a lot of sharp blades in the kitchen, right? They just got thrown into the meat grinder. So wasn't a whole lot for them to play into. And it feels like ever since Naja kind of suffered those nerfs from way back when, kind of had a tough time finding their way back into the grander stage.
Well, we're going to keep on ascending to that larger podium as we ascend through that bracket. We're going to wait just a little bit longer for the next stage of it. So, guys, stick around. After the break, more Smite Prime, Summer Bash. Hello, everyone, and welcome on back to Smite Prime Summer Bash here. EU Joust scene. Dilo here on the mic. Musi, been right by my side this entire time. Tess, and Red Rosy Panda. Almighty Eyes in the Sky. Jithin's the man behind the curtain. And Brad on this. Musi, starting to come near the end. What we got?
You got semifinals coming at you. Best of threes now in effect.
What?
We've got some pretty solid teams sitting up here at the top. What? A best of three? Oh my god! Zaduin's basement versus
Christmas?
Stephen Bunting. Christmas?
In July?
July? It is June. Vault bands are in the here and now, though, Dilo.
Yes.
And vault bands and Joust. Interesting. Well, maybe we won't have to dig as deep, but you are still going to have to get that shovel, because once you pick a god in this set, it won't be playable for the rest of the set, right? So if you pick Thor, no more Thor. So we won't see too many repeat appearances. But given that there are quite a few more characters to be able to pick in Joust, should be able to see a lot of familiar faces while still breaking up some of that monotony.
When I was asked in 2001 what I thought the future would look like 25 years later, I said verbatim, I think it's going to be Smite Prime, Smite 2, Vault Bands, and Joust. I was 1 years old at the time.
Wow, very, literate? No, literate is reading. I'll get back to you on that, but...
Oh, man. P's and B's. We'll get right back to that instead. Oh,
well,
gosh. We're in trouble here.
I'll bring that up at therapy, I think. Well, you know. My job is to talk, and I forgot the word for talking. Ah! So. It's because I'm too busy playing the game. Let's go out and talk about the game.
Yeah.
Let's go. Knicks in 5. Come on. Let's go Mets. Let's go Yankees. Let's go sports team.
So true.
Go Packers.
Low prio Q. Haven't got to see them yet, Musi. Polter, Groove God, Inop. Zavris, Nika. Man, I'm not literate. You were wrong.
No. What's up, Nikki?
Benny Q as well. We let you Bill last time around. Opted for that 3 beefy boys strategy. Maybe we see it again. Maybe not.
Well, it's like 3 beefy boys with an asterisk, right? Because the Atlas was building full damage. So that's kind of what offset the beefy boys. You just are like, I'm rocking some pretty solid base prots because I'm supposed to be a support character, but, you know, some pretty good damage because I have a Book of Thoth and a Dream. If you are, we love you, Bill. For low prio Q, I'll be interested to see where they tend to draft as we wait for the bans to come through. Remember, all of the bans happen at the same time. The other teams don't actually know what they're banning. They only know what you're banning for yourself, which means that we'll get a chance to see what low prio Q really doesn't want to play. And that actually does make this Fearless very interesting, because one of the things about Fearless and Conquest is you would ban something on your own side so that you could pick it again for later. No such protections afforded to anybody this go around, because you can't ban something from the other team. They can still pick it. I guess they can still do it. I guess I'm a
up here first. High prio for low prio Q. Atlas returning for assumably Benny Q. You know what's so interesting, Musi? The fact that these are blind bans and we're still seeing these bans be completely different from each team shows that they understand what cannot be given first, at least from We Love You Bill's perspective. Guan Yu being picked up as well. Are we just going to see a straight up repeat?
I wouldn't be surprised to see it. Unless low prio Q try to pick away the Kerberos, but you already have Sobek locked in, and that's like double Guardian-ish. Maybe we don't want to do. Well, I guess we let you build.
Wait, that's what we're doing though.
Oh my gosh, Joust. But we're just keeping with that Egyptian theme. walk like an Egyptian, dash like an Egyptian, Sobek and Horus playing together, and finally the Hou Yi that it was known to be so good in Smite 1 has their chance to shine here in Smite 2. The question is aspect or no aspect? I'd say no aspect, right? Let's see the ricochets hit for like 10 gazillion damage by being able to find a sick triple bounce. Please and thank you.
I do have a concern, Musi. You mentioned Spectrum is the side to invest heavily in. Seems like with the Sobek, we're only kind of dipping our feet, dipping a toe even, in the water. Not the highest damaging god for sure. Sickening Strike can get some numbers done, but Charge Prey is usually your best means of it. And that's more so meant to enable the rest of the team instead. We let you Bill, on the other hand, certainly have a heavy magical investment with that Charon added on top.
I wonder, you know, even though Sobek has pretty okay amount of damage, a lot of it's like dot damage, not too much on the burst side of things. They still have Sob Execute, which is really handy for dealing with tanks.
True.
Not as robust as an Achilles, but still an option available. Horus does a pretty good amount of damage still, I think. Being able to dash in, you've got a stun, a knock up, some prot shred, not too bad at all. Hou Yi should be able to capitalize off of it as well. The CC chain from low prio Q is really solid. That's why the Charon is here, to hopefully break some of that up when you are able to throw a silence on top of somebody so that they can't follow up too much on what's going on. A lot of healing, a lot of cooldowns, so I do like the Sobek here retroactively for low prio Q into the Guan Yu, just so that we can apply some disease, as Mort would say, on top of everybody from We Low You Bill, some anti-heal available in kit.
And us, available for the game. Low prio Q. We Low You Bill. First game of semifinals coming right up for you guys. Keep in mind, it is a best of 3, a bit more of a marathon than a sprint. So with Joust, those games can go rather quick. Groove God on the on the Horus, Polter on the Hou Yi, and in up on the Sobek. But this time around, Nika rocking the Atlas, Benny Q on the Charon.
Interesting. Well, we've seen Benny Q play the Charon mid in, Conquest before. Although every time I've seen it, it's been to limited success. But in Joust, still has a lot to offer you, like an early pluck.
Wow, really great damage to follow as well. Already forced out Aegis, but the ricochet's off the mark, unfortunate. Another knockup comes through, but look at that, Musi. A swift voyage, swift rowing. It's Wheel You Build back out of dodge.
Those oars made of titanium. The motors inside them. But what I was going to say about the Charon before was that the River Styx ultimate is able to cover the whole lane, plucks off the mark.
And that means that you're the one who gets plucked up instead by the Atlas. Nop is able to escape. It's the heals as well. That's going to be also worth noting that it's sustain from the Horus, as well as Sobek. Sickening Strike might give some anti-heal, but it also gives you some sustain yourself. Great pluck on top of the Charon. Can they swiftly voyage their way on out? Well, good pluck from the Atlas. Grants them a bit of reprieve. The hover goes on in, but now they're in trouble. Has to force bees off Hou Yi, the Phantom Shell as well. It's a full disengage from low prio Q, but the easy dash blocks their escape. Polter put up for first blood. We Low You Bill with the advantage.
Overcommitted just a little bit there from low prio Q. We saw the low health bar on Benny Q, and we really wanted to be able to take them down. But remember, even though you have a ton of anti-heal, it's a Sands of Time Guan Yu aspect. Like, the healing is going to be frequent and consistent. So just make sure that you kind of play your time. I feel like low prio Q's early teamfight was looking really good because they would pluck, get some damage, back up, pluck, get some damage, back up. That gameplay loop very much favors low prio Q here, and it's hard to play into.
Summon Styx, only going to be fearing the purple buff, which will be picked up by We Low You Bill. Low prio Q do well to escape, but unfortunately don't do well to secure the farm. Blue buff is at least some sort of consolation prize, but I wonder where they get their get back here. Who are you trying to pluck if you are the Sobek?
Honestly, if you can pluck the Charon, if you could pluck the Atlas, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Just make sure that you don't miss your pluck, right? We've seen a couple of times the Sobek goes in, the pluck's off the mark, and then they just get scooped up by the Atlas. The return damage from We Low You Bill, if you screw up, is fairly significant. So it's definitely a bit of a gamble that you're taking if you are the Sobek. You have to hit the pluck, otherwise you will just get completely eviscerated.
Between the kinetic charge from Atlas, the swift voyage from Charon. The cavalry charge from Guan Yu. They have a lot of mobility that covers grand distances. That's going to make it difficult for low prio Q to disengage rapidly. Even with that lurking water from Sobek, can easily be chased down if you're on horseback. So we let you Bill. Having that heavy hand feels good, certainly. Doesn't feel good to have the mark of the Golden Crow, though. Put on by Polter. Ricochets off the mark, though at the very least, Zavrees feels the burn.
Something I'm noticing here, too, which would have been able to call out in picks and bans. We Love You Bill has significantly better wave clear. Because now look at this. Low prio Q has to fight a wave and a team fight.
But wait a second, a great pluck. The sun's dropped on down, though. Charon nonchalantly just rose right back to safety. Sickening Strike applies the disease, but it seems that you're the one who's feeling a bit worse for wear. Summon Sticks comes through. The Lurking Water is immune to CC, but not the damage. Benny Q grabs a second.
Yeah, Charon Ultimate is huge. If you don't have Sobek Pluck to be able to get away, you're going to be in a tough spot. And during all of that, We Love You Bill was able to clear the wave. So now, under the T1 tower is the fight. Low prio Q have to go in.
Nice! Groove God. Make sure they still find something. From nothing, ults Nika, who just stayed behind a little bit too long. Tanking that tower when it's activated, and we're only in 3 minutes. A risky endeavor. Low prio Q take advantage.
Honestly, I like that, just to kind of keep them on the board and make sure that We Love You Bill can't bully low prio Q throughout the game. Learning in Bow is the early pickup here for Polter. Meanwhile, Horus and Sobek, we're matching. Genji's Guard is going to be so helpful into all the magical damage that We Love You Bill has, especially because Nika and Benny Q's damage is so non-committal. It comes out at range, being able to constantly get those procs to the Genji's Guard. Early Soul Reaver for Nika makes sense. That's going to be helpful in chewing through the health bars of both our Horus and the Sobek.
Walk like an Egyptian, talk like an Egyptian, accessorize like an Egyptian? I suppose so. Not treat like an Egyptian. Or try to go back in and find some decent damage, and also some good sustain. But this red buff likely going the way We Love You Bill. Better to split the map, and in this instance that means it's going right to purple. Boy, he's doing just that.
I do like that call, to split the map, making sure that you get as much farm as you can. One of the things about Joust is there is nothing to do on this map sometimes. Like, there's like nothing to do and everything to do, but you get just enough food to survive, right? Like, you're living, but are you thriving? The best way to stay fed and stay full is by taking food from the other guy's plate at this point. That means camps, that means fights.
The Suns are going to block the path of Charon a little bit, but once things start to get claustrophobic, the water rises through. Horus knocks him up with the ultimate, but quickly descends to their own grave. Polter now in trouble. Good silence there. Good application of the damage. Swift Voyage keeps him rooted in place. And Nika erases them. That's 2 kills already. Enough. They just make for a third. We're diving the Phoenix here, 5 minutes. I like the Moxie, but do we like the damage? Not quite. Great tail whip there from Inop. Keeps them safe.
Whew. This Guan Yu is putting in so much work, D'Lo. Like, just a ridiculous amount of work. We need more anti-heal than just a sickening strike. We need... Oh, man. I mean, Divine's going to be hard to spec into. A Brawlers might be the way to go here. Maybe even a Stygian Beacon. Be able to just get something across the board here. We Love You Bill's tankiness is insane. And it's all on the back of this Guan Yu. Heartward Charm first item. The Genji's Guard around the corner. So we're going to heal, heal again, get hit by something, heal again. And remember, because of our aspect, we're also lowering the cooldowns of our allies every time we throw out this heal. So Nika and Benny Q get to spam more abilities. And Benny Q has a little bit of shield that they get with this Charon. So the survivability of this comp, you catch them at a quarter, that fight looks so good until suddenly it doesn't because you realize that their health bars just don't move.
Yellow flares exchanged around the pit. Doesn't seem like we're going to commit to the bit, though. Inop just showing face. Horus can be present if they want, as the ultimate as well. Oyi engaging with the Atlas. Guan Yu quickly joins the Furry Kinetic Charge and the Cavalry as well. Everyone wants to go on in to look for Polter. They'll find the stun. Summon Stakes will catch up to them, but they are able to eke past the waters. Now Sobek looking back to see if they can try to do something to save their Horus. Just their presence is enough. Protector's Surge gets them out.
Double Spirit Robe, too, for our tanks of low prio Q. I mean, somebody's got to change, right? it is just the same build over and over, which is very funny to see. Also, kind of handy, right? We Let You Bill have a pretty healthy amount of CC that Spirit Robe is going to be a good answer to. Gives you healing, also gives you some extra protections to be able to throw in there. But I do see that Betty Q has that Totem of Death ready and online,
Oh,
so
no.
the Prot Shred is going to be here, and Nops. Oh, okay.
That Tal Al Soul is going to immune the knockup from the tail, which means Sobek was still in danger and still being shredded down. Lurking Waters is out. Stun comes through. And the from Guan Yu. You like green rings. You're going to see a lot of them. You like green health bars. Things looking a bit more dire. Low prio. Q finds a triple knockup off the updraft. Amazing job. Groove God is really starting to find their rhythm. But unfortunately, the rest of the team is not marching to the beat of that same drum. We love you, Bill. Secure the red.
Holter should have either, with that Lucerne Hammer, we should have a Titan's Bane up soon. I'm so focused on items this game because it really is such a big benchmark for how a team is doing Delo. We talked a bit about how farm is hard to find in Joust. That means that items are slow to come, so these power spikes are significantly more important, right? In Conquest, you are more than likely able to finish your build at the end of a game. In Joust, not the case. So the items that you pick for your build, you really have to think, like, I'm only going to get to build 3 or maybe 4 items as a general rule. What are the best 4 items to have in my build? Lernium Bow, Audi Bow, Titan's Bane. I'd pick up like a Chin's Blade, something like that, maybe even a Tear Fang, just to get some extra damage, because it is unlikely that we get to see all 6 items for low prio Q.
One item seeing emphasized a lot by We Love You, Bill. It's that Glad Shield. And why is that? It's 2 physical gods. It makes perfect sense. They're not really respecting the damage that Sobek outputs because they don't have to. Groove God. What a great
cool.
Protector Surge.
That was
They
sick.
instantly just fly right out of the summoned sticks. That bird's staying out of the water. Now Sobek's got to make sure they stay out of danger. One last Protector Surge. They go in with the cleave, find the updraft, but there's no follow-up quite just yet. Suck on top of Inop. The Suns block out their retreat. But Atlas is doing just fine so far. Inop cannot say the same. Zavreese will take them out. Horse gone back in. Now they're flying, but not of their own volition. Protector Surge gets them a bit more distance back to the tower. Atlas considers diving, but thinks better of it. The minion wave's on the way.
We're seeing it again. We Love You Bill is able to just clear a wave and be the aggressors. Now they're underneath the tier 1 tower, but Horus has been doing such a great job staying alive with this Protector Surge.
Ricochet doesn't find the stun. Benny Q's in a bit of trouble. But Benny gets away to
Okay.
save him. Here comes the ultimate from Horus. Tries to body block, but there's no tower to body block them into. No structure to save you. It's going to all come from your own damage. Inop has rejoined the fray. One more heal there from Groove God as they quickly boogie their way on out. Can Inop find their dancing shoes?
Oh, Shell, pluck away. The Atlas laser doesn't land. So the tap shoes stay on. The Sobek stays alive.
Oh no, Polter unfortunately can't dance if your feet can't touch the deep end of the pool. Lifeguard says, get on out of here.
Bomba. And down they go. We do see that Stygian Anchor available for an op. So now we have a little bit more anti-heal in the tank. Oh, and a Rune Forge for Groove God. I like that too, because Groove God's been getting a lot of CC off and making sure that they're able to follow up on it with a little bit more damage. Low prio Q sorely needs it. It's unfortunate. Feels like low prio Q's composition is reliant on getting a little bit more in terms of itemization, whereas We Love You Bill, once they get a couple of items online, they're ready to just rock and roll, right? We've got full cooldown available for this Guan Yu. Mode of Chaos means we're going to see like an upgraded shell, and Benny Q has got a lot of proc, which is good for Charon. Glad Shield helps keeps them alive and make sure that the Ho Yi can't really target out the Charon either, because that's supposed to be the squishy mage. Well, now they got some protections to be able to live through the damage, so Polter's just having a really tough time getting anything through.
Let's see if this Titan's Bane maybe helps them out with that issue. See, Group got arrives to the fray. Nika secures the Lost Knight. That's 4.5% health and mana regen. Also pen to boot. They're not going to need too much of it, though, as long as everyone stays grouped up like that. What a great Atlas Gravity Surge just to instantly pull everyone back in for all the damage to fall. Summon Sticks only hits the purple buff, but that's okay. Inop, you're running towards the wrong base, buddy. You're in trouble.
Just trying to buy some time so that low prio Q can stay alive for a bit longer. Sobek wants to make sure that We Love You Bill can't capitalize off of this push.
Dude, Nika literally put him in timeout. He said, "You're going in the corner, buddy." Bad Beck.
Well, it worked though, because Groove God's up and Polter is as well. Maybe we could defend this bird.
We'll find out. Groove God. Been key in staying alive, but last time, you're not able to survive. The team can't really thrive, you don't have the heals. Now they've just absolutely eviscerated. Able to get out thanks to Protective Surge. The laser comes through. The updraft grants them some reprieve. And the Atlas wants to try to finish the job. Phantom Shell is not going to be enough to save him this time. Groove God, unfortunately, is taken out. Titan now being engaged on. Phoenix already burned away. Sobek does have CC immunity for a bit longer. Polter cannot say the same. Now they're separated. One in Fountain. One desperately trying to reach it. Double kill for Nika. Now only Hoi stands alone.
No ultimate available for Hou Yi. They do have beads. Are they going to use it? Well, they get
No!
the chance to. The Titan doing their best to help with the defense too.
Summon Stick's about to come through. The hover. Frame 1 able to instantly get them out of danger. But the Titan still being whittled out. Flame minion wave on the way. Groove God is back in action, but the Titan might be delivering themselves to their own doom. Polter grants 1 kill to shut down, but far too little. Far too late. We love you, Bill. Take the first.
It was just the killer combination of having a Guan Yu on your team with an Atlas. Or really, I feel like the Guan Yu does a lot of the legwork here for We Love You Bill. But just being able to play these Guardians that are able to do a ton of damage when you itemize into just a handful of items really is kind of the Joust meta in my mind. I feel like Low Prio Q definitely did their best to play into it, but they were thinking about the long game, the horizon over there. But it's the short term you need to focus on.
At the very least, thinking about the marathon that we are in, none of these gods will be present next time around, so we love you, Bill. Even if they do decide to go 3 beefy boy methodology, have to find some new people to pack full of protein. But, I mean, you're just seeing it. This composition just does so much. Even when people were plucked, they never felt like they were really in danger. Groove God, I think, plays this horse very, very well, and Polter and Up did their best, just doesn't feel like their composition was bred for this context, this setting, this Joust map.
We were lacking wave clear. I talked about it a few times, but it really was that important because We Love You Bill was able to just stand at this tower line every single time because Nika and Benny Q just instantly clear the wave because they have 2 characters that have that AoE damage to be able to just go, boom, all right, let's walk forward. Whereas Low Prio Q, Polter was the big source of wave clear, and Hou Yi historically has just god-awful wave clear. That's not what he's known for in the dual lane. It's one of the reasons why we don't see him as much anymore, because he can't keep up with some of the other picks. In a composition like this, I was thinking about it, and maybe I should have said something. I almost wonder if Izanami has a chance to shine in these games, right? Because it's just free wave clear and a lot of damage to get through the board. Yeah, she's a little unsafe, but you have a Sobek and a Hortus. Like, you can play Protect the President. I feel like there's still a lot to solve with Joust, depending on how you want to build your team comps.
One thing that I think just We Love You, Bill, you mentioned it many times, we're able to excel with was just a sustain. You needed a bit more than just a Sobek Sickening Strike, like you mentioned. We didn't get to see it. So itemization, again, what are the 4 most important items? And what's really annoying about that is when you have 4 really important items that you know you want, but one of them has to kind of get a wrench thrown in them because you need anti-heal to allow for ourselves to make sure the enemy team doesn't get back up to full in a moment's notice. So what adaptations we made? Do we find our way back in the game? Does this go to 3? All questions soon to be answered. After the break, stick around. More Smite Prime after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome on back to Smite Prime EU Joust Summer Bash, baby. The sun's out, fun's out. Tanks are out. Delo's here. Musy's here. Tess and Rosie are here. Jithens is here. You're here. We appreciate you for that. Fall fans. Go, Musy.
In a best of 3 set, once a god is played, that god is locked away in the vault and cannot be picked by either team for the rest of the set. For example, if Team A plays Thor in Game 1, neither team can use Thor in Game 2 or 3.
Yes. I think we should have it, Musi, where it's like Star Wars scrolling text. I think that'd be really cool if we did.
Oh, that'd be heat! Let's do a little bit of that. Like, Tess, put us back to Picks and Mans real quick. Or not Picks and Mans. Put us back to Ball Pins real quick. I want to try something.
Do it.
Do it.
Set far, far away. Wait, what?
Let's do this. I'm ready. In a best of 3 set, once a god is played, that god is locked away in the vault and cannot be picked by either team for the rest of the set. For example, if set A plays Thor in game 1, neither team can use Thor in games 2 or game 3.
Dude, oh my god.
That was pretty hype. That was good.
Our production, genuinely, our production, you don't hear their voices, but you see the personality here on the screen. They are
We
the
like to have
best.
fun
They're
here.
the only reason why we can do any of this stuff. P's and B's coming at you. Tess, can we get P's and B's to also scroll like Star Wars? Oh boy.
Anyways.
What? I love it
It's gonna
here,
be like
dude.
slightly off for the rest of the.
Yeah, oh
rest of
god,
the
this is gonna
game.
hurt.
Low priority is just.
No.
We were just like.
Don't worry, we got the
So-
big budget assets. So,
Vault bands. Let me double check a couple of things here to make sure. I should have written down the gods that weren't available. So we saw. Oh, would you look at that? Hey,
our production.
Shoutouts production. Oh my goodness. Sobek, Atlas, Horus, Guan Yu, Hou-Yi, and Charon are off the board. I'm thinking to myself, D'Lo, that this is a great opportunity for picks like the Apwash to make their reappearance, or maybe we let the Aphrodite through, the Achilles through, just to scoop them up for ourselves this go around. There are still a lot of picks to enjoy. I think Sap7 played a Vulcan earlier today. That could be another good shout. But there are key components in a team comp that we need that I've noticed so far just from today that the Joust community have taught me. We need wave clear. We need some form of sustain, and we need a lot of CC. So basically you have your president as your wave clear and your main form of damage. Maybe you have a vice president that kind of handles damage as well, but is there to help the president, and then you have the bodyguards, right? Usually 2 bodyguards to play off of said president. And these 2 bodyguards are going to make sure that they can kind of balance keeping the president safe, but also being the aggressors in a team fight. Hercules is a great bodyguard to start off your team comp.
Yeah, I mean, has the build for it too. Dude works out.
That guy's got my vote.
Pele? This is interesting. Okay, we haven't got to see
like
either
it.
of these guys we played so far. What's the philosophy?
Well, Zeus is giant AoE circle ultimate, but also, I feel like it's conquest brain for a second here, D'Lo. I just feel like Zeus has got some cheeky solo lane viability because you can go like Vamp Shroud into Bancrofts or Typhons, and then Breastplate Genji's run it down, right? And that is kind of what I expect to see from the Zeus in this game. You get so much damage even though you're building protections, right? What does Pele do? Pele gets in your face, right? She gets in your face. She's all like, "What's up, bro? Huh? You wanna come up? I'm gonna knock you up, bro? Huh? What do you want? Oh, you gonna kill me? No, not likely, bro. I'm gonna go in and reach out a whole bunch of damage, bro." And you're like, "Pele, I didn't know you sounded like that. That's crazy. But can you please stop knocking me up, right? Like, this is insane. Leave me alone."
I like this a lot, though. Speaking of knockups, I think we take the service away from We Love You, Bill. That's really solid. You take some of that healing from Pele. Thank you very much, madam. I'll take that and use it for me. And you locked it in alongside the Honor. You're getting Conquest Brain, and we've seen this dual lane how many times recently on regular Smite Prime. This is going to be very aggressive, and it also forces We Love You, Bill to respect both sides of the damage spectrum.
I also like this a bit more for low prio Q. Kerberos can help out with the wave clear along with on her, because I'm really expecting Hercules to look for, you know, the pluck combo on either Pele, Loki, or Zeus in lane. So hopefully that kind of helps low prio Q keep up with these fights. But Loki plus Zeus means that they should out clear low prio Q, right? Loki throws out a decoy, Zeus throws out a chain lightning, Pele's got some easy damage to throw on top, so it means that We Low You Bill is going to be on the tower line with low prio Q again. But look at it this way, Hercules and Kerberos want you to stay on that tower line, right? They want to pluck you into that tower, and On Her can turn around and pin you against the wall immediately afterwards, so low prio Q kind of maybe leaning into this a little bit more. Like, okay, cool, if you're going to be all up on us, hey, why don't you get all up on me and find out what I'm about?
They had the similar idea with the Sobek, but the difference is, Musi, Hercules doesn't have to commit themselves to the pluck. They just kind of do so nonchalant from a distance, like a cool guy. With a leather jacket, maybe even. Very, cool thing to do. But they don't have to worry about putting themselves in danger with that Earth Breaker. They can instead knock you up. And then if you find the hit, lovely. Driving strike him back. If not, that's okay. I'll wait till next time. I'm still sitting pretty with my health bar. Cerberus as well can very easily just prevent anyone from having those beads unlocked because they're going to be consistently burning them away, which opens up things for those impales and for those driving strikes. We're ready for games. We're going to hop right on in to see if low prio Q can get high prio kills as we hop into the second game.
Loki with the aspect. So it's going to be a tank Loki, which is kind of what I expect from Joust games. Benny Q has the Vamp Shroud. I think we're seeing it. It's either like Vamp Shroud, Bancroft / Typhons into... You could go like Shield of the Phoenix here too. It wouldn't be bad because you're constantly fighting. Your Shield of the Phoenix gets a lot of damage off. Same thing if you go like a Glad Shield. And from Bancroft's, Phoenix, Glad Shield, and then like a Genji's Guard, I think you're just chilling. That's like the 4-item build for Benny Q, and it's just very, very good. So low prio Q, definitely we need to put the Zeus in a box 6 feet under, because it's just going to come to a point where they're going to live forever and deal a ton of damage.
Oh, this could be dangerous. The front lines, red buff ignored, Impale stun a bit off the mark, but man, that chain lightning does damage. Polter finding out that does not matter. They don't have the big beefy boy builds. They still can pump some numbers.
Ooh, good driving strike there from Groove God. Unfortunately, it doesn't win them the red buff. And already, Nop's taking a lot of damage here. Looking at the builds again, Dilo. Leather Cowl twice for Polter. And I find it interesting because you're almost always getting the benefit of like, oh, when I'm standing next to people, I've got more attack speed. Plus the stats on it aren't too bad. They added mana gen to it pretty recently. So it helps Polter kind of stay in the mix a little bit more. But me personally, I feel like I value the Gilded Arrow just a little bit more, right? Just so you can get some extra gold, which is such a valuable resource in Joust, especially because you're just starved of it constantly.
We're hungry. Maybe some jubilant sprinkle cookies. Good satiate.
Jubilant is
famished nature. Well, Pele, not jubilant that they just got impaled away from their kill. Some great peel there from Polter. Unfortunately, can't save him from the assassinate. First blood goes down to...
They've got so much chase potential, We Low You Bill, between Loki Assassinate and the Pele Ultimate to chase after you. Whereas low prio Q, I'm not going to say that they have limited mobility, but I will say that Nika and Zav have great abilities to chase after somebody after they've already dashed away. Not pulls the beads away there from Zeus, who ults in turn, but I feel like they're not too stressed out about that. Actually, wait a second here, right? We talked about how low prio Q have all that pluck. Zeus doesn't have a beads and doesn't have an ultimate, right? If I'm low prio Q, I'm focusing out the Zeus, and you have to do it sooner rather than later. This guy's gonna hit a critical function where he's just not gonna be able to be killed. It's just not gonna happen, because no matter what you do, he's just gonna lifesteal a whole bunch, and you're really relying on Benny Q to be out of position or get plucked and burned down. So this is the time. You have to make that moment happen right now in the next 100 seconds.
You know, with a player like Benny Q, they're aware of that. They're gonna try to maybe bait with their life a little bit. Play a bit seductively. Don't you want to try to pluck me? Ooh, pushing my hips. But all of a sudden, Pele just comes in from the side. Sidewinded
hips
you
did
with that
lie.
volcanic lightning. Yeah, indeed. Got to make sure that you're, not being catfished here by the Zeus. They promise a free kill. All of a sudden, you got decided. What happened there?
The notable Smite 2 Zeus honeypot. Like, you have to be kind of aware, right? Stay
safe.
Careful. Ooh, the pluck was almost there.
Chain Lightning at least missed, but now the Assassinate comes through. It's Groove God this time who's victim to it. Able to mitigate those wounds, though, and stay alive for a bit longer. This could be trouble. We're not really getting that reversal of pressure. Like you said, We Low You Bill definitely has got wave clear advantage. They're playing against the tower line, but not quite close enough that low prio Q can find these easy peasy plucks.
Ooh, there it is, Kerber's ultimate.
Maybe it changes now. You find the Earthbreaker off the back of it, but then the target switches. A bit of miscommunication between low prio Q as far as who the primary directive was. And now, Groove God is the high prio, has a Phantom Shell, a Driving Strike to escape. Is that going to be enough, though? A great rock over the top, and they do find the kill thanks to that. Polter has the lightning applied, but does not have the detonate charge for Benny Q. So they're going to be able to get their get back and walk away.
Turns out Polter was the one playing their life this whole time. The hips don't lie. It was a very solid boulder from Groove God. You know, had a really good ultimate from Kerberos there too to start this fight, right? We catch Zeus without their beads. It forces the ultimate from Benny Q, and that ultimate from Benny actually saves their life because it keeps everybody spaced away from where Kerberos is, and Kerberos can't get to the rest of their team so that we can play off of that Zeus. The pin from Polter was just a little bit off the mark, and Groove God was overlooking at the other side of things, making sure that they couldn't get involved. So attentions, like you said, were split for a second, but they were split because Benny Q forced them to split. We couldn't play together. So to see low prio Q get a chance to play underneath their own tower, like we know their comp wants to do, does give me heart that they're adjusting here in game 2 and making sure that we're staying light on our feet playing into We Low You Bill.
I like it. 5 minutes 1-1. Low prio Q. A bit lower on the gold lead, but maybe killing Benny Q can change things. Good Earthbreaker. But now you have to fight beneath the thunderstorm, and they're going to rain on your parade just a little bit. Groove God does go down. Polter throws out the impale, but has to use the nice disperse to get away. I like the ideas here from low prio Q, but the execution is just a little bit off.
Unfortunate. If on her had ultimate, I'm pretty sure Benny Q is dead in that moment. And Benny Q's still low, kind of trying to bait Polter not up.
Switch their hips.
See Nika and Zav on the left side, and Loki does have ultimate. And you'll notice that they have a mid-Guardian Mail and an Olmec Blue. This tank Loki build still gets a ton of damage in, surprisingly enough, while still being annoying enough to be...
Oh no! Hold on, Earthbreaker comes through, Polter has the ultimate, like you said, and Benny Q dies. As you said, Phantom Shell comes out. If you're not, now they're gonna be the one baiting for their life, playing the sandbox a little bit. My on her would certainly not mind. Great driving strike after the Earthbreaker. Grants Groove God the second kill. Loki's got a bob and weave to escape.
Enop was bobbing and weaving there too in that engagement. The fact that the Kerberos was able to stay alive actually makes it so that we are able to get that kill on top of Nico. Without that spit, Pele would have slipped away from our grasp. So good team fights here from low prio Q. It's wonderful what you can accomplish when you don't have to worry about the Zeus around the corner kind of beating you over the head with a stick, or well, a lightning bolt. More accurately, Polter's got Audi bow as well as Learning bow, so we have a bow in each hand. Good stuff. Looks like the tanks have diverged their build for low prio Q. Got the Runeforge Hammer and a Breastplate of Valor on the way. Stampede start for Inop, I like that, but Benny Q has that Bancroft's online and the Breastplate, so suddenly it gets even harder to kill this guy. We don't have magical damage in a meaningful way. Like, yes, Kerberos does a sneaky amount of damage, but not bursty.
We'll find out right now as they put the Stygian Torment on top of the Zeus, but the Thunderstorm separates Polter from it, so they can't follow up with their damage of their own. That being said, let's bring them on over to you. What a great rebound once again from Groove God. Sets up on a platter. Double paralyzing spit as well. You can't get better CC than this, baby. As this Fury comes through on top, but they gotta finish off the kill on one. But they're splitting the difference instead. Driving Strike gonna put them down, but the paralyzing spit was off the mark. That means Loki's able to assassinate away low prio Q. Have a great engage, but unfortunately, once again, don't target correct.
Lacking a little bit in the execution, Bolter had missed a few autos. That's going to cost us big time because Benny Q's back with a vengeance to defend their tower. It was impressive, though, that we're able to kill Benny Q so consistent here. Like, that's really good. If we can keep that up and then just hit a few more autos after the fact and keep the pressure on, We Low You Bill is going to be on the losing side of the spectrum here. So now if you're We Low You Bill, how do you turn that around? We just got to play around our Zeus a little bit more. Don't let them get plucked away. Or if they are going to get plucked away, all in on top of where he's getting plucked to. You have a Loki and a Pele. Like, you have all the abilities to make that happen.
Meanwhile, they're literally abducting him into the bushes and murdering him. Nice work by Groove God here. These knockups have been phenomenal. Driving strikes, and especially these excavate rebounds, they're always positioned near these walls because you're in Joust, so you're likely to get that double damage.
Knock up into all the big numbies. Groove God on this Horus and on the Hercules. Kind of a standout player here, I think, for low prio Q. If Groove God is able to make something happen here, Inop and Polter are able to follow up. So if you're We Low You Bill, I think you have to recognize that and pay some special attention to this Hercules. Like, once he goes down, feels like low prio Q aren't as strong as maybe they want to be.
Hercules can become simply unkillable if you buff them up enough. No anti-heal for We Low You Bill, nor any for low prio Q outside of what Cerberus already has, which is, to be fair, plenty. Thunderstorm placed down, more of it as a deterrent to stop Groove God from having their way. Low prio Q okay with that, just one less tool in Benny Q's arsenal.
Groove God can take some tower shots. Can Polter get rid of the tower in time? The answer is no. Now We Low You Bill could potentially aggress on low prio.
Pyroclast comes out, Polter a bit poked out. Yala Flare, just to ensure there's no sneaky flank coming from the left side, but no. Benny Q takes the honest approach. And low prio Q, back to square one, looking for these Earthbreakers. But once they're off the mark, now things are in danger. Immunes the CEC from Assassinate with some ultimates of their own. Groove God trying to find their rhythm. And now a good knockup comes out from the Cerberus. Dragon Strike goes forward though, forces Desert's Fury on out. But they're out of range for the rest of Polter's attacks. Now Groove God is instead dead on the floor. Can dance no longer. As Inop is forced to leap away. Same story as well for Polter, but beneath the tower, are you still safe? Astaeus, Pele follows it up with the Pyroclast. Thunderstorm gonna zap that kitty to Kingdom Come. A double kill for Benny Q, and they're still somehow alive. Cerberus couldn't quite finish him off.
Pele was taking the tower. Benny Q was not, so they'll be able to live. Triple driving strikes done there from Groove God. It's so tragic that we just didn't have the follow-up to play off of that, because that looked so good for low prio Q there. But think about where that fight started, right? Low prio Q was operating on less health than normal because Groove God had soaked up a couple of tower shots, and Polter and Inop had taken some damage from Nika and Zab by that tier 1 as they were trying to take that off the board. So making sure that if you're going to make that aggressive play, you have to be willing to give some concessions. You're not as strong for the fight as maybe you once believed yourself to be.
Red buff does go down. The Pele, who hastily scoops it up. Cerberus ultimate incoming, finds two. But again, where's the follow-up? It comes from that Earthbreaker. The impale's off the mark, but it's a great excavate once more. Zeus is in trouble, but Zeus is still alive for now. Groove God exchanges their life for Benny Q, but Polter's going to be a cost that's too steep to pay. Cerberus leaps right into the waiting arms of the Pele. But the puppy dog is able to get back into the kennel safe and sound.
I think you just have to make sure you can defend this T1, because as long as that tower's up, you have a pretty solid control over the map as a whole. But it doesn't look like that is a luxury to be afforded to low prio Q. Groove God, I cannot stop saying this guy's name, because he has just been playing outside of his mind on this Hercules. Really crazy plucks, driving strikes, ultimates, and staying alive the whole way through. Just got to keep that pressure on. Now that we have a pretty solid answer to Benny Q, the next step for low prio Q is cool. After we kill Benny Q, we need to make sure that Polter can stay alive from the assault from Nika and Zav. We have a lot of really good engage CC from low prio Q, but we're lacking in heal a little bit. So something like a Shell would not be the worst pickup here for low prio Q. Just a little extra added health bar so that Polter has some more time to play so that they can work on shredding down Pele and Loki.
I also think it comes down to the CC PEMDAS. Last time there was a Cerberus ultimate, I saw Impale and Earthbreaker both be used at the same time, and only one found the mark. That was Groove God's Earthbreaker. If you can just keep that chain CC going by one of you making sure to hold the trigger, steady the discipline, then all of a sudden, not only are they stunned for more time, there's just more damage set up as well. Polter is going to be swinging pretty big. You can see them. Second on the player damage charts after all. So we just got to make sure the communication is locked in. There's only three of you. You got to get along.
Below you, Bill. At what point do we see a pull around that Lost Night? I feel like they have... Who is Bill is a wonderful question. Uh-oh.
One waiting to be answered. CC chain again on the Zeus. But now with all your kit dumped on in and the Thunderstorm out. Can you stand the rain? It's the new addition of this team fight, but not one that seems to be going too well for low prio Q. Groove God once again dead in the water. Paralyzing Spit comes through, and Polter's already been forced to back all the way to base. That means Inop's been left out to dry. 2 more for We Love You, Bill.
Unfortunate. The whole time this is happening, Polter is getting shoved away by Nika in the back. This Pele, with their Nemean Lion and with their Yogi's Resolute Mantle, have so much health to be able to stand there and soak up all the damage. So again, great CC from low prio Q. Wonderful engage, but our damage isn't there because they're getting zoned out and away. Now it's on to Polter to try to defend this Lost Knight, but it's a lost cause, more likely, because Zav just breaks the ankle of this on her. Oh my god.
Polter set up the desert, or rather, the desert pillar, and then just watched as Zavriz used it to body block all of the autos. That just feels unfortunate. Nothing's working in your favor at the moment if you're this on her. Having a hard time being part of these fights because the Pele is just there to zone you away, and without that, Groove God and Inop don't have the ability to kill Benny Q, because Breastplate of Valor is a son of a gun. These prots being built up here by the Zeus, keeping them high and alive. And now it could be trouble for Inop as well. Impale forces back the Pele, but in the back line, it's Hercules. Can we kill Benny Q this time around? Not with that driving strike pushing him closer to tower. Certainly not.
Nop's gonna look for an ultimate. It'll force the beads away from Benny Q, who throws the lightning thunder on top of themselves and cost Groove God their life. Unfortunate. We Love You, Bill have hit kind of their critical mass here, D'Lo. Is twice now we've seen the same thing happen. Groove God, Nop, go in on Benny Q. Unfortunately, Benny Q, with their upgraded Vamp Shroud, with a Bancroft's Talon, they're going to live, right? They have a ton of lifesteal, a ton of sustain, even with the Kerber's trying to steal some of that away. The reason why they live is because Polter can't play the game. Nika's on top of this on her, and Nika has the Nemean plus a Blink plus a Shell, right? This on her can't really play into this Pele too much. They need somebody to turn around and deal with it, but that can't happen. They're too separated. They're too far away. Low prio Q have to play a little bit closer to each other. What happens when you do that? Boom. Zeus ultimate, Loki damage. This game gets very, very, very difficult to play for low prio Q.
Polter needs to survive until they get this blink. They're building it right now, and you can tell it's going to help them skip the Pele line and get right to the juicy Benny Q in the back. But is it too little too late? Phoenix already burned away. Next fight could be your last. Great triple Stygian Torment. Desert Fury follows it up as well as the damage from Escape, but it's really not all that much to speak of. Nice disperse, knocks up 2, but now we're targeting the Pele, who wasn't affected by it and doesn't seem to care. Phoenix back up and active. That means Groove God takes down Benny Q, and Nika stuck behind the Phoenix Flames.
Down goes Benny, in goes Nop. Nika, low health bar, but the Loki targets out Groove God to try to get some damage in.
This could be trouble if you ended up Earthbreakered, but Groove God, unfortunately, whiplashes it, and it goes a bit wide. At the very least, a 1-for-1 that we have not seen for quite some time. Taking out Benny Q's a good surge of momentum.
And that's off the back of the fact that Polter was able to get their damage in on top of Benny Q for once, and then Groove God goes ahead and isolates out this Zeus, so that Zeus will ultimately fall. I mean, this Hercules, even though they're building like mostly prots here, they have a bladed boomerang and a Runeforge hammer. So we have a lot of strength to deal a ton of damage. But Benny Q just finished up a height of the Nemean line here too. And then a shard, so it's going to be harder and harder for Polter and Groove God to get their damage in on the Zeus, because they're just going to be healing so much. So if you're low prio Q, it's time to start getting even more shred available. Wouldn't hate to see something like a Void Stone for Groove God, honestly, just to help out with a little bit more of that prot shred. I mean, you can see Nika's got it right now.
At the very least, you have that blink now for Polter. Allows them to get past the front line that's bullying you into Benny Q's face. Question is what happens after. Triple Stygian Torment finds absolutely nothing in terms of the knockups. Instead, we're knocking up the Zeus once more, but where's Polter? Around the corner. Inop's already out of the fight, but inside the pit of the blue buff, Groove God, for Benny Q still. Polter, looking to defend the bird, will succeed. Hercules abandons the chase, able to ward off We Love You, Bill one more time, and honestly, that's enough. If you're behind by 4,000 gold 17 minutes in, any stalemate is a win.
Honestly, yes, because low prio Q is just trying to get some extra items online here. And Polter will become more effective with time. ADCs scale to late game based on gold.
On your
Look
left.
at this. Kind of a gutsy play.
Oh man, Mika goes right for Polter, knows exactly what they want. The Impale's off the mark, but they do have the Sands. Polter's going through the TP, they say, I gotta get out of here.
But Groove God's got some damage here on Benny Q. Benny Q just as quickly heals it all back up. Polter's fine the left side gank.
But can they get over the wall? Have to find if they want to disperse or take the long way around, but maybe long, too long. Groove God's already dead. The Stygian Torment finds no value. Inop's got to retreat. The detonate charge takes him out. Benny Q adds a second to the bomb.
Ooh, the weather looking a little bit stormy with Benny Q out there on the horizon. This bird soon to be plucked and cooked. We love you, Bill. Walk it into the Titan room.
Well, Inop, unfortunately, doesn't have much left in the tank. Certainly doesn't have much damage. Doesn't have many friends either. And that Titan does not have a lot of health left either. The Assassinate comes through. The Stampede's the response. But that Titan's also dropping rather speedily. We love you, Bill. Advance to finals.
It was a good game there from Low Prio Q. Definitely had the pieces there, but unfortunately, We Love You Bill just had so much more. The Loki and the Pele constantly harassing out Polter. The Zeus that is the main target, nigh unkillable because of Breastplate, and the Nemean with the Bancroft's Talon. I saw it from a mile away. This Zeus build is a menace, and now it has had its chance to shine on the big screen.
Man, oh man. I like the fact that we got to see Low Prio Q shine a bit more. Groove God is definitely a player to watch out for if you are in your Joust queues on the EU servers. Honestly, even on the NA servers, that guy's got moves. Inop certainly played this Cerberus very well as well. I think it looked a lot better than the Sobek since it didn't have to dedicate quite as heavily. And certainly has a bit more damage to boot. And Polter gave it their best shot for sure. They just were completely shut down by Nika on this Pele, that blink. I don't know if you wanted to see it earlier in the build, because then you don't get the stats, of course, from your regular itemization, but it felt like they needed some means of accessing the backline easier.
Yeah, for all the gusto that we had from this Hercules, it felt like we were not able to really follow up on all the damage.
Look where Polter is.
Triple driving strike looks so good. Polter was forced to stay back the whole time because of Nika and Zav. Like, I don't even blame the Honor too much, because, like, what are you supposed to do about that? It's like, it's
right
like
there.
what I said before. Yeah, we have so much great in-gauge CC. We do not have a lot of peel for Low Prio Q, and that lack of peel is what ends up getting us in a lot of trouble. I mean, Benny Q was also playing a similar game, right? Like, he didn't have a lot of peel, but he didn't need it. He built tanky, he built lifesteal, he built to survive that dive, whereas Polter just had a bunch of damage in hand because you're an ADC, it's what you have to do, but the Gambit did not pay off.
Talked about how we need inscalers, and on her, I fear, is simply not an inscaler. That is all strength, baby, and, at the end of the day, strength is fleeting. And so is Low Prio Q's time in the bracket, though they certainly gave it a good run. They're out in 2, which means we love you, Bill. We'll see you again shortly for Grants.
Good stuff all around. I feel like We Love You Bill has a good handle on the team comps that they need to build, the itemization for Joust that makes it so frustrating. It really is just like, hey, build like a solo laner and you are chilling. That is, you are 3 solo laners in a Joust map. Some of your solo laners are mage solos that have a little bit more damage in their kit, in their build. Some of these solo laners are just tanks that get in your face and cause issues for everybody. The exception here being the Guan Yu. It's more of a supporty type.
We're going to have to see if the compositions remain the same, they follow a different philosophy, or we keep it on the same railroad tracks. We're on track for a small little break, though, before we hop into Grand. So, guys, stick around. The epic conclusion of the Summer Bash Day 1, right after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to EU Joust Summer Bash on Smite Prime, where the Blaze are always premium. I'm Bilo, joined here by Boozy, here in the booth right by my side. Bess and Bed Bozy Ben in the front. And
what is this
your
bit?
man I don't know, man. We're in the grand finals here. It's to do its basement. Where's We Love You, Bill? How you doing, Muse?
You want a large bulk and 3 chocolate bit bookies? Oh God, that's what I want.
Boy, I want that $8,000.
Well, it's $8,000 that is split up over the course of the Summer Bash. The winners of this one will get a chance to look at the bracket here pretty soon. Winners of this
Hell
one
yeah.
will be playing for $525. It's going to go to first
Small
place.
piece of the pie.
Just a little piece of the pie. We got a lot of love to spread around here, D'Lo.
Hell
Those
yeah.
who made it this far to Doin's Basement and We Love You, Bill, will face off for that money, but you can see the corpses of the teams that came from before.
Yeah, Doin's Basement and We Love You, Bill. We had a lot of chances to see them on stream, and we're going to get more chance in the future. But with this grand finals format comes, of course, the rules, the vault ban system that we long time ago saw in a set so far away. In a best of 3 set, of course, once a god is played, it is locked away for the rest of the series. So if game 1 a Guanyu gets picked up, that means it's put down for game 2, and for game 3, no questions asked. That being said, the bans that each team picks, those have to be rebanned every single time. So it's only the picks that are locked away inside that box.
And we do know there are going to be some contested picks going around.
Absolutely.
Although there are 2 different philosophies, I feel, between these teams. The Doin's Basement team, we saw them rock something like a Medusa and a Vulcan together, so we have more damage in that team comp versus We Love You, Bill, right? Nika and Benny Q and friends. They have a lot more tank going on. Even Benny Q is building a little bit of tank to be able to survive and deal even more damage and play with their cooldowns a little bit longer. So it'll be interesting to see how these 2 teams play into each other, knowing that they have different philosophies going on here.
I am to see, because we have gotten multiple different iterations, right? We've gotten 3 tanks, well, 2 tanks and a pseudo tank. Our friends Bill, we're gonna have to not wait too long to find out. B's and B's are here, but we've also seen where they actually go with an typical mage carry, that being that Zeus with the Joust we saw before. Benny Q made that look pretty solid as well. The Doin's Basement, I'm struggling to remember what their composition offered last time around. Were they also 2 tanks? I feel like they played with the carries as well, didn't they?
But it was a Medusa Vulcan carry that I very distinctly remember, because it was like, oh, interesting. What are these guys doing here?
Yes.
Right? But I feel like if you're gonna want something on your team, picks like the RDO, the Achilles are really strong. Sobek, I feel like, has a place to be able to pick up right now. There was also Bacchus we saw earlier today. I didn't hate seeing a Bacchus at all. But it really comes down to, if you are going to pick a character with damage, they have to have either some level of survivability, or they need to be able to be kind of like an early game character, right? Like, you can't really expect to get too much in terms of items in your Joust games. Now, granted, that might be a little bit different here in the end. Maybe you can plan for, items 5 and 6, or even upgrading your starter, because these games tend to go a little bit longer as you go up and up and up and up. So I'll be keeping my eye out there to see if there are going to be any later game scaling picks in a Joust game. Because one of the things you have to remember, Dilo, the reason why it takes so long to get everything online is you're sharing one minion wave with your whole teammate. The gold spooling maybe a little bit accelerated to help get people up to snuff, but you're still sharing limited resources in order to kind of hit your spikes.
Doin's Basement are knowers. They banned away the Pele and the Guanyu from the last compositions we've seen from We Love You, Bill, so good of them to do their homework and take those off the map. We Love You, Bill, responsible for taking off the prime meta threats in this case with that Opwash, Afro, and Kabrakan. Sobek and Achilles, respectively, going to Doin's Basement and We Love You, Bill.
Yeah, with the Achilles making it through those bans, makes sense to see it locked in, along with the Hercules here for We Love You, Bill. So now we're just looking for something for Benny Q to play, so we'll have some AoE damage. That's going to be another really important thing when you look at these drafts. You need to be able to clear the wave. If you can't clear the wave faster than your lane opponent, you end up fighting them, but also the other wave. So Poseidon should be a really solid fit here for Doin's Basement to make sure that we can keep up on that pressure, and also threaten an Aegis when you have the Kraken as well.
So, Medusa joins them. What's the difference is there's no Vulcan this go around, but without that Vulcan, I'm trying to think of like what you're really trading off. They both have obviously very large burst damage ultimates, but Poseidon's a bit more easier to put in place, right? Earthshaker to get max damage, you have to throw it from way downtown for 3. Poseidon can kind of just make the layup, which is nice and easy. Atlas, We Love You, Bill. We've seen this return many a time before. Benny Q's probably operating on it, and they're probably going full damage.
Is the other thing with this Poseidon 2 Dilo is that it's online earlier than maybe some other mages. Once you hit level 5 as Poseidon, you're ready to go. You're ready to get in the mix, you're ready to just crack in somebody and kill them, right? So you also have Medusa and Sobek to kind of help set that up. Not as much maybe from the Medusa, but the Sobek especially can pluck somebody into a Whirlpool cracking combination. Medusa can follow up as well with the Petrifying Gaze or Lacerate, Acid Spray, Viper Shot. She's got a lot of tools there. The big thing for to do in Spacement is to make sure that Achilles stays far away from Poseidon and Medusa, and to a lesser extent Sobek. Like Sobek and Achilles are going to be bashing heads against each other, but that execute is going to be very, very scary. So now to do in Spacement has a choice in front of them. Do we pick up the Aegis to deal with the execute from Achilles? Do we pick up a Beads to deal with the CC from a Hercules and from an Atlas? If you're Sobek and Medusa, you could probably pick up the Aegis and not have to worry about it too much. Maybe Sobek gets a Blink or a Shell. Poseidon's in a tougher position here because he doesn't have CC immunity on his ultimate, so he really struggles with the question, Beads or Aegis?
We'll find out relatively shortly as we hop into Game 1 of the Grand Finals, once again for that $500 grand prize. Now, talking a bit more ball about this composition from Dodoon's Basement, you know what else I see? I see this Poseidon. You talk about the cripple. Then we can make sure that Zavris actually can't get off a lot of their utility. If you're not the one getting plucked up by the Earthbreaker, you place down a Whirlpool at that Hercules' feet, all of a sudden, that Driving Strike is shut down.
Whirlpool's good into Driving Strike, it's good into the Unburden from Benny Q, it's good into the Combat Dodge from Achilles, so really solid util there from Sap 7, so Poseidon's life. It's definitely something that we need to keep alive, I suppose, for lack of a better phrase, right? There we go. You want to talk about layups? Nothing but net, baby. But look at the items here. A little bit different from what we're used to. We see the Bumbus Cudgel for Zav, as opposed to something like a Bluestone or Warrior's Axe, but the Warrior's Axe in full force for Nika, and we do have Gilded Arrow for adapting. I really like Gilded Arrow in Joust, just because if you're able to get that marked minion killed, you do get some extra gold, which is very handy when you share so many waves and kits.
We're talking about how much they're starving right now, trying to feast on the Dodoon. Whoa, where'd you go, buddy? I don't know where that pull came from, but the Dodoon really starting to fly. This whale's looking a bit more airborne than they might want to be. That being said, other part of the whale is the killer. They're looking right now for Nika. The Whirlpool zones them just a little bit, but Sap 7 is running very low on mana. Eulalia Bill potentially gonna run this battle of attrition. Without that blue buff, Poseidon is a bit more vulnerable.
Pluck in from the Atlas, finds Sap, but Benny's taking a lot of damage here.
But doesn't have the mana now from Sap 7. Drops down the Whirlpool and considers their job done. Either team wants to stick around too long. Overall, 2 relics for 2 relics, and even trade.
You talked earlier about how, Sap's really chewing through this mana. That Sansa Tide will be able to help with that, but Poseidon is a character that just eats and eats and eats and chomp, 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 much through a whole bunch of mana. Would love to see any kind of mana regen. I mean, Soul Reaver's got some. You're going to need that in the build regardless. But Book of Thoth is a stacking item that maybe isn't bad here, just because it stacks off of damage that you deal, not off of minion kills, right? Whereas if I see Adapting go Devos, it's cooked forever, and I don't know why we did that. Luckily, it looks like we're looking at Rainbow first, thank the Lord. But context there, Devos needs minion last hits in order to stack, and that's just not going to happen at a Joust game. But with that Mana Tome and a Captain's Ring, looks like it's actually, Dilo, it's a Breastplate of Valor for Sap 7, so it looks like we're following similar ideologies of Benny Q. Just enough tank to be able to keep fighting and get a bunch of cooldowns. So Breastplate, Genjis, Soul Reaver, maybe a little bit of Life Seal for funsies, and suddenly this Poseidon can stand up with the other tanks.
Talking the cooldown, also, the mana the Breastplate provides is incredibly important to make sure that that blue bar is topped off. Love this lane clear that Sap 7 Adapting are capable of. We Love You Bill. A bit of a harder time. Also worth noting that members of We Love You Bill are not operating on EU ping. That means that they are going to be a bit behind in that sense. And Hercules, trying to ensure these CC combos go down, you really want to make sure that the rest of the team is in lockstep with you. So some obstacles being thrown in the way of We Love You Bill. And both teams as well, notably, love playing aggressively, but also both teams love playing from their tower. The turtle potential from the Herc and the Sobek are both potent.
Even the Atlas to a lesser extent. Hello?
True.
Ooh. So, here's another point of this higher damage comp. Look at that shred. The Lost Knight is already dead, D'Lo. Except here's Nika for a
Oh,
steal.
who's gonna be the one to get it though? Kraken placed a
Who are
bit
we
too
cracketing?
preemptively, and now Adapting doesn't know where they're going. He's forced by the driving strike. The excavate is evaded, but Sap7 is gonna be
Sub
put
execute?
down for first blood. Now the Sobek left all by themselves does not have enough damage to find the Sub execute on top of Zavris, and that means that Deduin might just be done. Sent to the basement, locked away in the cellar. 2 kills for Bill.
I loved that pull of the Lost Night. It was good work by Deduin. They were shoving off so many people, but Nika slipped through the cracks to find that teleporter. And then Adapting and Sap7 just kind of panicked. Honestly, I really feel like we could have stuck that. If we stick that Lost Night, we have Kraken, we have Petrifying Gaze. These are tools that can be used to just confirm an objective, and you just run away afterwards. Now as we go back over to this left side, we don't have these ultimates, right?
Sap7 still playing like they do. Sobek's on the front lines, comes in for the pluck, forces out the bees. Not too shabby. We'll take what we can get.
If we're at this point, I want to see Kraken come back up. Alt Nika, right? No beads on the Achilles, makes them a prime target to continuously harass them. But it looks like Deduin's basement are going to get harassed out of their jungle. I love the way that this team has been sticking together, playing off of each other. Like, if you're going to send anybody by themselves, it's going to be Deduin. If you're doing that, it's because you want to buy space to take a look at an objective like we saw before. Maybe, unironically, we get some wards. In Joust, the vision shard that you get is only Yaller Flare. You can't get any of the other ones. So if you want vision on the map, you do have to unironically buy some wards.
Deduin's in a bit of trouble. Pulled back in by the Atlas. At least the Earthbreaker's off the mark. The Kraken, though, does not find the damage you're looking for, even with Petrifying Gaze paired with it. It's going to result in 1 more kill in Bill's pocket. 2 for Benny Q, too.
Poseidon doesn't have beads. We have a shell for this Poseidon, so any CC that lands is Achilles stun, the pluck from the Hercules, Atlas pulls you. You are cooked, my friend. Nothing to really do about that, and we know that Poseidon doesn't have a CC immune ultimate, or really any kind of CC immunity in the kit, period, right? So if you're Sap7, yeah, you've got your breastplate online, but you might need a little bit more if you're going to position yourself aggressively against these characters that love to pluck you, right? They want to hang out by the tower line, but they just want to be in your face all the time.
Layer up, Bubby. It's getting cold outside. Might need a few more shirts on top of that breastplate. 6 minutes, 3 kills for Bill. 1K their way. At least the Lost Night was not taken, though. You wonder about that alternate timeline where they just committed that Kraken to the cause. These Krakens have so far not been super impactful, so maybe the Vulcan is the play instead, but you're hoping that Sap7 can stop getting so twitchy with it and try to straighten out those ultimates to ensure some big team fight success.
Well, it's a good itemization, too, for Welo You Build. The fact that they have 3 purifications here. They could even walk towards something like a Talisman of Purification if they felt so inclined. But again, Nika and Zav have CC immune ultimates, and Atlas shouldn't be getting Krakened ideally, so they're not too stressed out about it. If you're Deduin's basement, you're trying to force a fight here.
Instead, you're trying to force a charge prey retreat. Do it. That. They don't have too much engage, but they're still stepping up like they do. A bit of false bravado, maybe, and they're being costed for it now with a great driving strike. Fatal Strike is going to find the mark and the execute. Deduin has their own party trick used up against them. Adapting steps up, but they do not have the man advantage, nor any reason to look at this red buff. That's all Bill.
Yeah, unfortunate. The Sobek puts themselves out of position to take somebody else out of position, and who better to capitalize off of that than the Achilles execute? And we don't have too much in the way of physical prods for Deduin quite yet, so the Herc and the Achilles with their Runeforge Hammers and their Warrior's Axes and all that good stuff are able to deal quite a bit of damage to that Sobek, even though they are a tank.
Double stun from the shield bash, and no CC immunity here. The Kraken's not going to find you too much. Herc just shrugs it off with beads. That being said, Deduin's present, finds a good pluck, but beads once again. Save the day. Achilles still alive, so execute threshold. Not found. In the meantime, Adapting just gets absolutely chopped up to smithereens. Deduin, with a sickening strike before they go, is at least able to survive the chaos, but their carries can't say the same.
Looked like Zav maybe wanted to pull this Lost Night. Not even maybe, they're just going to go for it. Adapting and Sap7 are a little behind, to say the least, right? And because your carries are behind, carry that is behind against a tank just gets hard owned by any tank that decides to walk at them. Like, yes, we do have the Totem of Death and Avenging Blade available for adapting in SAP 7, so the Shred is here, but like, Wheelo You Bill is just gonna walk through it and mog you. Just go for plucks and go for damage. Again, remember, like, our Poseidon doesn't have beads, neither does our Sobek, so the CC, if it lands, it's deadly. Because the follow-up from We Love You Bill comes in the form of this Achilles ultimate off of so much CC. And Achilles ult, surprisingly, the execute threshold is fairly high, like startlingly high. So it does not take much to put him down there.
And also remember the CC from Deduin is committal. Now you're seeing them being committed against the wall. That driving strike forced ult away. You have the Gamma Ray burst coming through, so you don't have to worry about that at least, but you have to worry about the low health bar that Deduin is currently nursing.
Zav and Nika still have their ultimates. Wheelo You Bill not going towards the Lost Knight. Instead, it becomes a game of, is there any farm that we can choke away? Developing a lead in Joust happens mostly off of kills. Like, out-farming your opponent is it happens on a very slim margin because there's so few camps to do. But the way that Wheelo You Bill plays Joust is so interesting. They don't really look at the Lost Knight at all. They don't really push into that tower. They sit here, they farm waves, they chill. If you want to fight them, they'll fight you, they'll kill you. If they find an opportunity to look for a pick, they do it. But they don't really do too much off of it. They just sit here, they're like, let's get to level 20, play some video games, and hang out.
10 minutes, 2,000 gold lead to We Love You Bill to join their 6-kill advantage. One on the board would certainly do Deduin's basement well, but they have to find a right pluck for it. Deduin is just so far behind that it's hard to justify charge preying into the enemy. Again, it seems like Atlas might be the best call for it, but Benecu's positioning, as well as that Astrolabe, are great deterrents. Now they're the one instead being plucked up and sucked away from the rest of the team. Vortex is out, but that kit dump, Nika's still fine with health. Kraken is placed down, but Nika still at half. Deduin at 0. Trouble, once again, for the basement.
Yeah, not a whole lot that Deduin's basement is able to do here. Still yet to get on the board, and the assault from Wheelo You Bill is relentless. Still a lot of damage, and a lot of tankiness too. Benecu doesn't have any kind of tank to their name yet. Spirit Desolation, Soul Reaver, Totem of Death. We do have a lot of damage. And a Cyclopean Ring for SAP 7. This Poseidon build is interesting, to say the least. I mean, we have a lot of cooldown, that's good, and this Cyclopean Ring will be able to give us the, some attack speed. That's not Cyclopean, it's Nimble Ring. I'm still Smite 1 pilled, man. Shoutouts. But basically,
Pelicans.
Yeah. Who member all the rings?
Demonic
Let's
Grip.
go to Titan Talk and talk about that, right? But Demonic Grip, oh, good shout, D'Lo. But this Nimble Ring in 3rd slot, D'Lo, I'm not the biggest fan because this is an item that feels better when you have more int, but we don't really have too much in the way of ints for this Poseidon right now. And I don't know if he'll actually get the chance to build that int. Maybe if Wheelo You Bill lets Deduin's basement get to that late game because of the way that they like to play these Joust maps, just slow and steady wins the race. But again, a death by inches, a death by 1,000 cuts is still a death nonetheless.
Oh, wow. Sobek just soaring into the skies. This whale, looking like Free Willy, the way they're just leaping over the walls. I mean, it's thanks to Atlas's help, of course. It's so beautiful. It's wow,
whale
so
call.
majestic.
You like that?
I'm sure that Deduin's probably hearing that like, whoa, that sounds hot.
He's actually an orca, which isn't a whale.
Fair point. It's also a land shark, technically. Hold on! That's a good Kraken, though. Benecu's already dead. SAP 7's in trouble. The rebound does not find the mark, which means Poseidon's still alive. Great lacerate to keep Hercules in place and now erased. Shut down from adapting into Deduin's basement. Get 2 very important kills. Achilles is going to find the back, which means they're free to get this Lost Knight. Unless it kills SAP 7! Oh, God!
Run, Sap! They're on to you! Wow, what a fight there from Deduin's basement. It's really hard to miss your abilities when you fight in a corridor where you're all standing on top of each other. I'll tell you that.
Whale call works.
So, yeah, the whale call did work. Deduin felt the power, and it coursed through him. SAP 7 was also able to get on the board with that kill. Now they've got the Ob Shard online.
Nice.
Now we got some more penetration, little more int for a nimble ring, and a combat blink for adapting. I wonder if We Let You Build maybe didn't press the issue enough here. Because they had a pretty solid lead. It looked like they were winning all the fights, but off of one fight and an objective, Deduin's Batemans tie up the game and get some very important items, and now Benny's dead.
Wow! Benny Q is absolutely blum. What a great CC combo. That's exactly the combination you want to see. And you know what's even better for it? They had a talisman. Hercules couldn't do anything, though, because they just were not seeing it coming.
We've got 2 blinks, a Deduin blink and an adapting blink. Combat blink, specifically for Medusa, base blink for Deduin. So now you have blink pluck combos, Medusa's able to keep herself safe. These characters that scale off of gold and getting their builds online in order to do the damage they want to deal, we're given the space to do that. So now we're going to be in a situation where We Let You Build is like, all right, well, our turn to turtle, I suppose. Like, we're just going to sit here and vibe for as long as possible until we win one team fight and take the whole map off of it.
Snakes in the grass. Sharks in the grass. Poseidon's in the grass? Not quite. Yellow Flare will reveal them. About 15 minutes into this game. Now it's 3-7, but things are suddenly looking more dire for We Let You Build. Actually batting behind in the gold lead, about 700 the way of order. For a fight, though. Kraken in pocket for Sap 7. If that finds the mark, they win the fight. If it doesn't, they likely lose. That's about the long and the short of it, Muse.
Yeah, I mean, while Deduin's Basement, we're still chilling with that Lost Night buff. We weren't really able to aggress on them. But We Let You Build. They lose only a tower in the grand scheme of things. They can make sure that they don't have to lose too much more. I mentioned that Talisman of Purification for Zav. Now we also have a shell in hand for the Hercules. And interestingly enough from Nika, I love the red cloak here to pick up. So that whenever Nika gets CC'd, they're going to explode out some damage with that Shroud of Vengeance. Tenacity, physical, magical protection. But if Deduin goes for a pluck, boom, extra damage. Adapting, goes for a lacerate, boom, damage. Step 7, throws down the Kraken, boom, damage. Makes it very hard to dive on this Achilles. Pair that with the Draconic Scales there too. This Achilles character gets to live forever. You see a couple of motes of chaos for We Let You Build, so expect some changes with their relics soon as well. They're going to need them. Some combat blinks on their side would be most advantageous.
I almost kind of wish
$3 word of the day
would start the fight while they have the combat blinks, because now I see one as well in pocket for Sap 7, but instead they're back into base, getting a bit more of their itemization up. Conic in pocket for the Sobek. But when does the tension burst? When does the bubble pop? Might be around the Lost Night once more.
I mean, Deduin's Basement has the damage to just kind of do it, right? Avenging Blade plus the Totem of Death means that we could just eat that health bar up, and it's dead.
Nice!
That's just how it goes. Now you find another fight.
Luck comes through. Petrifying Gaze on the Achilles, but they're not looking for the kill on Nika. They want it instead on top of Benny Q. Sap 7 will get it. Great Kraken, the killing spree, but Adapting's no longer part of the fight. You might need them. There's a good Excavate, doesn't find the rebound. Deduin's off the mark with a charge prey, but that's okay. Medusa arrives at the scene. Not quickly enough, though, to save Sap 7, as now they're on the kill board as well. Nika might be able to survive this encounter, at the very least stall for enough time. But Phoenix is the primary directive, 20 seconds. Until Benny Q gets back up. Deduin's primary job is just to keep Nika from harassing this Medusa.
True, and the Phoenix is stunned, right? Can't even fight back against the Medusa. So down goes the bird. Adapting's going to look to cut off the option from Nika. One lacerate, and down goes Achilles.
Lacerate to catch out, not to find the root. Yeah, unfortunately, just couldn't cheat that corner. But the B's really well timed there from Nika to ensure they actually did get out of there safe. If that charged prey found the CC, Adapting does likely find that kill. So We Let You Build. Batting from a significant disadvantage now, 17 minutes, 5-8. About a 3K gold lead, the way of Deduin's Basement. Grabs a red buff for their troubles, and plus they have that 4.5% health and mana regen. Deduin might need that. They're in trouble.
Combat Blink is so good playing into the Achilles, right? Because usually you pick up Aegis going into the Execute, but the other option, and the more flexible option is, well, if they don't hit me with the Execute, I don't have to die, right?
Correct.
So this Medusa is just going to sit there. Beta, yes. Medusa is able to combat blink away from this Achilles, and then also force the Achilles to go maybe in a different direction from the rest of the team that isolates him out. That gives Deduin's Basement a lot of room to play their own engage. Interestingly enough, Sav 7 hasn't gone any more tank items, only the Breastplate of Valor. And that's just to make sure that we don't get one-tapped by an Achilles or Hercules combination there. You still have to respect the damage from this Atlas, but I can almost appreciate the fact that Sap 7 isn't really going the tank mage route. It's just, listen, I need just enough to survive the engage, and once we're all on top of each other, I can Whirlpool and Kraken my feet. We don't have any sustain on this Poseidon, but we do have a fair amount of cooldowns and damage to be able to play around with.
Just enough to survive the fight, just enough to one-tap any Q if the right CC finds the mark. It's a solid plan. The question is, from Reload Your Bill, what's the counter? Aegis now in pocket for the Atlas. Certainly makes sense. The time lock Aegis as well. Not only going to give you some health back, but also restore some of those cooldowns that you need so badly to escape the situation. Here's the blink, here's the pluck, and there's the beast. Samurai dropped on down and does drop the Sobek. Pretty low. Kraken's off the mark. This could be the chance for Bill to find their get back. Pluck on top of pluck. Execute threshold met and found. Daduin's already dead. A great pluck there on top of adapting, but they do have that combat blink. A kinetic charge is the answer. Sap 7 has to blink away as well. Now it's adapting. Who's to the back end? But both are able to escape. Sadly, the Sobek is left in their wake.
We Love You Bill, though, showing that they are still very dangerous, and you need to acknowledge them. You can't just walk at them willy-nilly. Yeah, address me! Daduin went for the blink pluck, but the fact that we have so many beads from the CC that Daduin's basement was relying on initially, now has their time to shine here for We Love You Bill. Especially the Talisman of Purification. Once Zav pops that, I feel like that is a situation where it's like, okay, cool, you actually just can't touch me for a bit. Because remember, Nika and BettyQ have their own beads that they can play selfishly. Yep. So I want to see We Love You Bill kind of play around each other so we can play around the Talisman proc from Zav. And then, now that we have a couple of Nemeans online for Nika and Zav, anytime Adapting tries to dash it, we pop that Nemean, suddenly this Medusa is killing us.
Oh man. Again, another pluck. It's well-timed and finds the beads, but here's my question, Nemuzi. What forces beads aside from pluck? That's the real issue. You have multiple layers of, like, get-out-of-jail-free cards We Let You Build, like you said, all these pairs of beads and the Talisman. What aside from maybe a Petrifying Gaze, as the Lost Knight does get shredded down by Daduin's basement, Daduin's in a bit of trouble. Has to use their CC immunity to escape. I guess the just question is, how do we make sure that a pluck actually finds the CC? Instead, the CC's finding our friend Zap. Drops down the Kraken, finds great damage from it. Daduin was not in place to follow up, and Adapting is not in place to stay with the rest of the team. They're dead already. Whirlpool, though, as well as a few strikes from Daduin, will answer back on top of BennyQ. Now fight advantage goes to We Love You Bill. Great body block of the Fatal Strike, but an amazing double stun, as well as off the Driving Strike. The CC chains are fantastic. The Whirlpools are just a bit better. Unfortunately, Achilles packed their body armor, didn't pack the life vest, and they're all shipped off to the grayscale. It's a deicide for the basement.
Adapting guys, because their combat blink was not up and available. They'd used it in an engagement previously. Nika and Zav just tried to force it a little bit too much. In fact, might end up costing them the game, because Sap 7 has so much damage in hand. Now they got the Bancrofts online as well. That's curtains, right? Oh, unless we... Are we going to wait for them to respawn? Is it hype?
Surely not. Sobek just needs to get the last bit of damage on in. BennyQ will take the credit for it. Big baseball from downtown, but strike, you're out. I guess Bill didn't get loved enough.
We Love You Bill essentially screwed up once, and then the whole game fell out of their hands. That's really what went down. And it's interesting, too, because the reason why We Love You Bill was so in control was because of a small slip-up from, you know, Team Sap 7 around that... The Lost Night. I want to say Moonlight Queen Naga. That's not correct. But around that Lost Night, right? This, we could have committed, but we end up cracking nothing, and the whole team gets packed up in a little to-go box. From there, We Love You Bill is able to dictate the pace of the game, but because We Love You Bill is not aggressive enough in terms of trying to push for towers, trying to look for more kills, they like to play this hang-back playstyle where we just kind of farm and farm and farm, which usually works, right? Except... Daduin's Basement's team comp wanted to play that game. They wanted to get online. They wanted to get more damage, more gold in their pocket for their damage carries. Daduin's Basement were allowed to hit their power spikes from We Love You Bill. And because of that, We Love You Bill ends up losing the game. Adapting and Sap 7 were just too big by the end of it.
I mean, you first Lost Night fight where Sap 7 just places the Krakens who knows where. But this, something's going on forward. Sap 7 was on point with those Krakens, and in fact, that last brawl hits the Kraken on 2, finds massive damage on We Love You Bill's front line. That's all she wrote. Look at this, just peerless coordination,
Destruction.
precision to ensure that kill. Benny Q really felt it there, but it just seemed like from that point onward, Sap 7 was really on the mark.
A lot of damage in hand, all the cooldowns in the world to make it happen. This fight too, I mean, Sap's just not, definitely not free casting, but he's able to get so much damage off before he dies. And especially in that last fight, one of the things to remember is Achilles does get a little bit of a health shield when he pops his second ability, but it's a physical health shield. So it looks like he has a fair bit of health in some of these fights, but effectively, not really. The Poseidon's able to chunk them away regardless. Even the Sobek's able to pitch in and help.
29k for Sap 7, certainly an impressive damage total. And also impressive that Dune's basement able to kind of climb out from the basement. Now they're on the first floor. Maybe getting up to the penthouse. $500. Get you, a penthouse suite in like Wilmington, Delaware, maybe? But nonetheless, would certainly feel good in my pocket. I wouldn't be complaining.
Wilmington, Delaware.
Hot new tourism spot coming near you.
Oh,
Check
okay.
it out.
Well, hey, I wasn't familiar with the Delaware Ball, Dilo. That's my bad. I'll get Della involved.
Nice. Well, we're going to take a quick little Joe Biden's rest stop, another Delaware staple for landmark. So,
very nice.
yeah, you can get some Cinnabon there. Make sure to grab your snacks, too. Get some more water in your Penguin cup, or whatever cup you have, if you so please. We'll be right back with more Smite Prime after this. Hello, everyone. Welcome on back to Smite Prime EU Joust Summer Bash Week 1. D'Lo here behind the mic, joined by Musi right in the booth here by my side. Almighty Eyes in the Sky, Tess, Red Rosie Panic, keep the prod lights on that cam steady, Jithin's behind the curtain, you watching at home, Vault Band's on the screen. Musi, what's that mean?
Well, it means that in a best-of-3 set, once a god is played, that god is locked away in the vault and cannot be picked by their team for the rest of the set. So, long and short of it, D'Lo, the picks that we saw in the last game, we're never seeing them again, ever, for the rest of competitive Smite history. Nobody's allowed to play it till the end of time! Ah, ha, ha, ha! Well, at least to the end of the set, right? So, no repeat performances. It's time to find some new picks to put out there on the field. The Medusa that we've seen adapting play time and time again today will not be available.
Does still leave us with the same draft philosophy, I guess, potentially available. At the same time, now I think about it, like, every big pluck god has kind of been taken off the map, right? Hercules, Sobek, Atlas. One fell swoop. They're all done. You have, like, a Baron Samity, I guess, left, but we saw that didn't really see the best accolades and performance actually on the map.
Yeah.
So we still got a lot of things possible, but as far as who will actually be picked up, that's only for time to tell. I've got to imagine that if you are to Dune's basement off the heels of that win, I'm not changing my ban philosophy. Get rid of that Pele, get rid of that Guan Yu. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, just not something that you want in your game, especially the Guan Yu, because Zav was looking pretty good with it in We Love You Bill. So making sure that we keep good picks out of the hands of the enemy, unless you're really trying to steal it away. But I suspect that We Love You Bill will be first pick going into this second game. So definitely something that you just don't want to risk, like, at all.
Correct. On the reverse side, I'm trying to think of if there's a philosophy we need to change up on the opponents. We Love You Bill. We'll find out as we hop into P's and B's right here. The multi-tank method. They still got Charon available. Kerberos still around. So,
Not too bad. Yeah, I like the Kerber shout out, actually. That's pretty good, right? It's good because it pulls so many Bs, you have a lot of damage, even more CC, a lot of sustainability. And We Love You Bill, I feel like they'll be able to use that pretty well. Nika was actually playing it earlier today, so we know that they've got it in the pocket. Zeus could also be a return pick here for Benny Q.
Sure.
I still think that pick has a lot of value. Even though We Love You Bill are down a game, definitely worth it to pick out some of the spicier things. If not Zeus, I wouldn't hate Merlin or Agni, something along those lines, just because the shred is good and they have giant AoE abilities to be able to cover up the lane. It helps with their wave clear. Also does a good job shredding away the health bar of, tanks that are walking up and getting involved.
I got a cue for you, Musi. We've seen across these series, from the very first now to the last, these mage picks, they pick up a Genji's Guard or Breastplate of Valor. In that sense, you are obviously aligning with which physical or magical side of the spectrum the enemy team has more investment in. Which is better? Like, in the current itemization meta, is Breastplate more advantageous to build than a Genji's Guard? If you are that mage, which one are you happy to have to pick up?
I feel like if you're a mage, typically you're looking at something like a Breastplate because you're worried about the tanks or the junglers or anybody like that kind of jumping on you, right? Plus, it's got a lot of stats you enjoy there, cooldown, max mana, MP5, works well for your builds. You're just as happy for Genjis. It's really situational, Dilo. Like, realistically, it kind of depends on what you're playing into. But if you wanted to give it, like,
Opwash.
blanket terms, yeah, Opwash, there it is. Pass ban is heat, by the way. Blanket terms, usually squishies opt for the Breastplate of Valor.
Afro. Wait.
Afro.
Ooh, they're calling them out. But this sucks.
Do it.
Because if Deduin's Basement don't get it, We Love You Bill absolutely does. You have no choice. You have no choice. That's brutal.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so, huh? Because you can take Opwash and the Aphrodite. You lack a little bit of the big, chunky health bar, but your effective health is still pretty high considering the sustain that Opwash and Afro have. Plus, if you get something like a Doublet of Binding attached to an Opwash, suddenly the Afro is going to be pretty nasty.
Oh, no.
Kerberos is going to be the response with Hou Yi, though. And I like that. Now, Deduin's Basement is daring We Love You Bill to pick up the Afro.
And they say, I'll
Bet.
do it. I double dare you. I double dog dare you.
Yeah.
They say that is A-okay. Loki's in the squad as well. We Love You Bill, I think, is a very terrifying composition.
But Deduin's Basement, I like that team comp very much as well, right? Hou Yi fills the niche that Medusa did. Agni covers what Poseidon did, and Kerberos covers what the Sobek did, right? There are three things happening here. We have objective burn, we have wave clear, we have engage, right? Each player has their role to be able to fulfill here. We Love You Bill has really solid wave clear and good team fight, maybe not so much for objective burn, and that's where Deduin's Basement won out over We Love You Bill. They really prioritized that Lost Knight. The health and mana regen, the penetration that you get, and disabling the tower is nothing to turn your nose up at. We Love You Bill's philosophy for playing the Joust game mode and their philosophy for drafting in Joust got them this far. But Deduin's Basement, it feels like they kind of have it solved, right? They know very much what they're looking for. So if you're We Love You Bill, what you really need to do is lock this game down before Hou Yi and Agni get items online. That's how you win, because if you hang back and let the game happen and, you know, chill out, like, we don't have to force anything. Yes, you do! You do, in fact, have to force something! That Hou Yi has a gun, right? And he's slowly counting bullets in the back of that fountain before going, like, let's rock and roll, man. Let's light this candle.
Here's my concern, Musi. You've talked throughout the entire day about the importance of wave clear. Who's got the better hand of it, in your opinion?
So, We Love You Bill has a few more mage abilities to throw at it, but Deduin's, I still feel like I really like Agni and Hou Yi paired together.
We're going to have to find out which couples, which lovers end up being the better match. We're going to hop into the game to see if Deduin's Basement can finish the job. We Love You Bill trying to get the comeback. Starting off with a healthy breakfast of dead bodies. Yum, yum.
Breakfast of champions right there. It's like the cold pizza that you left out over. Also, to work off of your last question too, Dilo, We Love You Bill, ultimately I do like their wave clear more, because you also have the Loki that can throw out their decoy. So,
Yeah.
it's just a lot of abilities to throw at the wave for We Love You Bill. But think about it this way. Once they throw so many abilities at that wave, maybe they don't have as much for the fight afterwards.
Ease off Benekyu. Like you said, Musi. In Joust, that's immensely important. Level 5s hopefully can be hit before that relic comes back online. That being said, when level 5s get hit, guess who else can save you? Nika with Undying Love. Nice double stun.
Dash in from Sap 7.
Oh, nice hover stop as well, but the is forced out. Hou Yi rings around the Rosie, but we all fall down, or at least you do if your name's adapting. First Blood instead goes to Benekyu. And Zavaris gonna just chase Sap 7 down the wide alley. Can't go invis to catch up, but is still slow immune. Doesn't really matter if you're not stun immune, though. Cerberus getting disciplined themselves, but the Undead Surge will not catch up, so only 1 kill goes to Bill.
We will need some anti-heal. Divine Ruin for Sap 7 for sure. I mean, Agni does have some inherent anti-heal in the Noxious Fumes. That's
true.
Little smoke cloud they put up that stuns. While Kerberos, they do have like a heal. It's not anti-heal, it's a heal steal. Like any healing that happens around the Kerberos, he'll take 50% of it for himself. Nom 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 nom. All well and good, but redundancy is important. I feel if you're Deduin's basement in this moment, it just lessens
We love
the
beating
value.
horses.
Yeah, big fan of beating a dead horse, right? Also, something to look out for, the build that Nika's going to be going here. I see Sands of Time, but also keep an eye out for things like that Hardwood Charm. It's going to be a very important item that Nika picks up. And a World Stone, I feel, could be right around the corner, too.
Undead Surge, man, just covers so much space, even forcing Deduin, the tanky member of the team, to give them some backup and ensure that they just have free will over that zone. That being said, Cerberus ult in pocket on the horizon. Can Nika Undying Love once they're in the air?
No. Don't believe they
W.
can. You have to pre-beads, so to speak, the Undying Love. Granted, if somebody else is in the air, they can Undying Love them and maybe help out in that regard. We love you, Bill.
Well.
Hanging around this tower line once again. I mean, again, this is that wave clear that comes into play. Opwash and Afro, just constantly spamming abilities, Dilo.
It's gonna be annoying, but at the very least this time you have a Hoi Yi. Very easily able to dispense with those corpses, with those autos that are coming at you at a bit of quicker rate than an Ogni's fiery fists. That being said, look at that, man. Cerberus, got no stomach for this fight any longer, says, you guys don't play fair. I'm going home.
I don't want to deal with it anymore. Oh, jeez.
Mom, they're playing
Both
Opwash in my
teams are-
ranked joust.
Mom! We didn't ban Opwash. And they didn't ban Opwash either. What the heck? Genji's guard. Pick up for Deduin there. Talk about breastplate or Genji's. Tanks like Genji's. Pushies like breastplate. Long and short of it. But notably here, as I take a look at some of the relics that we have, Dilo, a lot of Aegises for Deduin's basement. Makes me worried though, because Nika's Kiss stun, I feel, is sneaky good. We Lo You Bill finds a stun off the Afro, and then crazy follow-up after the fact, I feel, is what's going to be kind of dangerous for Deduin's basement. They have to make sure that they're playing together so that we can peel for each other. Agni can really offer peel for himself, but also his team to a degree. That giant Noxious Fumes makes it very hard to play in general, I suppose. But Deduin's the real big threat for Deduin's basement. Watch this Kerberos look for ultimates, right? Loki doesn't have beads, so as long as Nika isn't kissing Loki, that guy can get scooped up.
Watch this drive. He's damage being applied there to Cerberus. But Nika as well, the difference is one heals it up quite easily. The other is waiting for you to heal it up so they can maybe heal it up a little bit. Benny on the front lines as the crypt's ready to be emptied. But instead it's the red buff. Emptied out pretty quickly, and Deduin's now got to run away. So does the Agni. Good Stygian Torment, but better response to the CC immunity in SAP 7. Left for broke. They just got that buff too, and they'll die with it. Or no, I'd rather it was the Hoi Yi. Alright, at the very least you don't lose it. But you still lose one member of your team. That doesn't feel too great.
Not ideal. We Lo You Bill definitely learning lessons from the last game as they try to get some hits in on that tier 1 tower. Heartward Charm was picked up by Nika, it looks like. Learning bow there for adapting. So we have some good starts here. I'm waiting for the Soul Reaver 2 from Benny Q. It feels like Deduin's basement is just constantly taking poke damage from this Opwash and even from the Loki and Afro to an extent. But it gets even worse once we hit that power spike for Benny Q. Same thing with like a Totem of Death. If you're Deduin's basement, you really have to try to lock down this Opwash, but that's very hard to do when they're getting pocketed by the Aphrodite. Like, just actually miserable to play against.
If you're SAP 7, do you build defense? I feel like it's very rare to see an Agni end up speccing it all into that side of the itemization, but is it necessary when you're up against such an oppressive god?
No, I don't think you bother. You're Agni. You should be able to keep yourself pretty safe with your stuns and your dash, and You really want to make sure that your long-range artillery bombs are hitting for as much as they can. You don't want to delay any of your spikes from Soul Reaver and from Totem of Death. Like, you just got to get those items online and start spamming at the other side of things. You also need to find room in the build for a Divine Ruin, I'd say, just to acknowledge all the healing from Apwash and Aphrodite. So there's really no room for it. If we pick up any kind of defense, we're just sacking a ton of damage.
You should be safe with your dash, but we let you Bill say otherwise. Loki lurking on the backside just to really remind Sap 7 that they are never safe as long as Loki's got eyes on you. Galliflare comes out just to make sure that the Loki has left. They have not. But at the very least, you know they're not on Lost Night just yet. 6 minutes in, it's 2-0. In favor of Bill so far at about 1k their way. And now, with the Galliflare down, Loki does begin to look towards that objective once more, but a second player rises up to meet it, and that's going to force them back for some time.
Do want to see We Love Bill take a look at that Lost Night, because that's the game changer here. We're in a similar position that we were at before. The Duin's Basement wants to play for the late game. They want to let Adapting and Sap 7 get their items online, right? Like, we've got the Divine Ruin for Sap 7. Now we just need a Totem of Death and a Soul Reaver. We're big chillin'. Adapting needs their Titan's Bane, maybe a Chin's Blade, and we're hanging out. Maybe an Audibo. Once we get those, we can really start fighting. We Let You Bill can start fighting right now. Force a fight somewhere that isn't on the tower line, so that you can force Duin's Basement into a situation where maybe they're not the happiest to take these fights. Maybe then they start giving some things up, right? We Let You Bill could very easily play around this Lost Night, especially with that Empty the Crypts from Apwash.
3 bombs on Anika, but only drops him to half health. Not the most impressive numbers, but like you said, Basement's playing for the late game. This is a basement. It's an unfinished one, Musi. We don't have the wallpaper up. The couch is still looking a bit ratty. But let me tell you, the interior design, it'll come through soon. Crypt's also going to come soon. Does some decent damage there. Server steps right back up, but it's going to be instead the Loki in the backline with the Assassinate. Tries to find the kill. On top of one, they will get it. Sap 7 put into a ditch. So next, the Undead Surge can't find the mark. Hui's got the hover, so they escape. But never mind, Benny Q. It's the last bit of dot damage necessary to drop the dog. Love you, Bill. Grab 2 more.
That's what I like to see from We Let You Bill. Just force a fight somewhere, right? You can pop Empty the Crypts right at the tower line. You'll notice the Duin's Basement got shoved all the way to the back of their tower. Uh-oh, Benny Q jumped on, stunned out, but I don't know if Adapting can actually finish this kill.
Oh, man. Learning Bow's going to help you out, but that Undead Surge just slows for so much. But here comes the Flame Walk. Nice job there from Sap 7 to cut them off, but now Loki is cutting you apart. Mark of the Golden Crow will force them back, but you can tell Loki's reconsidering. Does not have that ultimate, and that Ghastly Breath will be enough to ward them away. So now without a few more slashes to the back, Duin's Basement make off with their first kill.
Good stuff there from Sap 7 playing around that corner and catching Benny Q out, because without that rotation, Benny Q is able to sustain, walk away, make it to Zav in time, and then Zav actually pieces up Adapting in that moment. If Adapting continues on with that chase, good team play. Vive Charm and a rune, warding rune for Benny Q. Is that Antxile? Oh no.
Crypts. Definitely a big oh-no here if you're doing Basement. Sap 7 caught in the horde of bodies will be added to their total. 3 kills so far for the Opwatch. Scary sight. Loki diving the tower as well. Zav's popping some pretty big numbers themselves, making you fear the physical side of the damage spectrum as well.
Good pressure on this tower so far for We Let You Bill. And Duin's Basement's having a really hard time keeping them away. Like, it's just a constant guard rotation of 1 or 2 people to defend, but eventually We Let You Bill overwhelms it. Down goes that tier 1 tower. It's a lot of gold in hand now for We Let You Bill. We get a back off here. We go for that Lost Night. Suddenly we are super owning. I'm pretty sure Benny Q is finishing up an Antxile here. And what this Antxile is able to do is it turns this Empty the Crypts into a giant silence field. Because what Antxile does, there it is, yeah, just finished. Oh my goodness. What Antxile does, it's an active item that says when you pop it, your next ability that hits silences for like 1.5 or 2 seconds. It's actually ridiculous on this character. Yeah, 1.5 second silence, 300 health, 55 magical prots. You want to talk about nerfing items, dude. Holy, this thing has gone untouched for a long time. It's very, very good on Apwash specifically. Also, like, as long as we're talking Ansile Ball, Mulan Ultimate pairs well with Ansile, Baron Samdi pairs well with Ansile. It's got a lot of stats here that Opwash wants, and Betty Q can abuse.
Anyone who's able to guarantee a large swath of territory, large AoEs that will hit multiple opponents for a long, sustained amount of time, feels good. 10 minutes, 5-1. Well, Bill feeling good about their gold lead, about 2k their way. It's because Musi, they followed your advice. They're pressing the pressure. They're not letting the Doin's Basement farm up. They're not letting them get the late game. They're not letting them get their blue buff. That's ours now.
Although, slowly but surely, Dodoon's Basement is getting some important spikes here. Like, Adapting has a Titan's Bane. Sap 7 has the Soul Reaver. So, damage potential is here. It's just going to be really hard to fight We Love Bill.
Well, they have the ultimates to do it. Doing Stygian Torment. Adapting's got the Suns. They're not really present. The Crypts comes down. So that won't be the Ansile use. Cerberus here for a sneaky steal.
It's a lot of corpses.
It goes to Zav instead. Here comes Stygian Torment, but it's immune by the Undying Love. Nemean popped by Zav, who goes in with the Assassinate. Looks for the Cerberus. Undead Surge can finish the job. One last auto. That's going to be it. Dodoon is dog chops. And the Firebomb's going to be enough to ward off Bill, but that's okay. We got the buff. We got the kill. We're happy with that.
My goodness. Yeah, I Betty Q stacked up something like 6-8 corpses there. And that corpse explosion just popped for so much damage. Hey, he's hungry. You let it all go to waste. But that Ansile control that you can exercise over a field is just insane in a fight. Now We Love You Bill can start this Phoenix Siege, and the bird can do nothing but watch as it gets pecked away.
I'm even watching. Head hung in shame because they're not doing anything to help out the team. I don't blame it.
Oh, man.
I'd be ashamed too. Paralyzing spits off the mark, so Benny Q's spared that damage. Hoi's not being spared the CC, though. I don't think the Fleeting Breath can take the rest of the health away. Just one last tick's all is needed, but they won't find it. Barely able to survive as Adapting. The Crypts comes out, separates the dog from the rest of the team, but now Agni's got to make the slog through the bodies, and now a walk back to Fountain. Doing still on the front lines and still in pretty decent health. That's because Aphrodite's helping them stay sustained.
Dude, this Afro Opwash combo is miserable. Their health bar is so there's a Kerberos right next to you, and it doesn't matter because they just keep on healing. Now We Love You Bill begins the walk back because, you know, they've got like 3k gold in hand, by the way. So, a lot of money to spend for these characters. And they're already, like, catapulting ahead in these fights. Worth noting, though, it looks like Sap 7 should have their Ob Shard up soon. Looks like Adapting. Manchu bow and a bow. That could be a variety of things. Fingers crossed. No, it can't be Audi bow. Maybe a Tearfing. I would not hate a Tearfing here. Or a Chin's Blade. Especially considering all the health. Not only that Zav has, but like Betty Q has because of the Ansile, like extra 300 health, like Chin's Blade gets a lot of value here. I haven't had a chance to talk about Zav too much, by the way, and that's not because this Loki isn't doing anything. It's just because, comparatively to the Afro Opwash combo, he seems like fairly tame. Like, not the worst thing to go against in a game. But Gargoyle, Draconic Scale, yeah, he's very irritating.
Here come the Suns. Benny Q's in trouble. Stygian Torment looking to finish the job, but that Afro combo is liable, and you hear that chomp, that munch. He's eating up on those bodies, nice and big and strong for the Opwash. Assassinate is the response, but it's a great Noxious Fume stun. Try to put the Loki down. Now they turn their attentions instead over to the Hoi, who's got the Fleeting Breath applied. Agni nearly taken out by the Corpse Explosion. They've got to back off too, but they want to dig in their heels. They don't want this Phoenix to go down, and to be fair, it might not. Benny Q doesn't have good auto attack damage. That's a Hoi's job after all. Now it's to escape Undead Surge. They will, thanks to the hover.
I don't blame you for thinking maybe Benny Q could have died there. Unfortunate.
It was close.
This guy seems unkillable. It was close. It's always so close, but just never quite there. There's so much cooldown for Nika. Every single item in their build, save for the shell, is offering cooldown in one respect or another. And Heartwood Charm, for those of you out there that don't know, Blinks could help. But the Heartwood Charm, the reason why it's so insidious is when you use it, it's an active item. You pop the active item, it makes it so that your next healing ability doesn't have to go on cooldown. So you just pop it again. And then
So annoying.
it gets -6 seconds off that same ability. So sure, you're not doing as much damage, but you are just firing off 1, 2 of your lovebirds. You ult, you get another lovebirds. Nobody dies.
Crypts are used. Phoenix still alive. You can try to take it for a bit longer. The sun's come through if the SPF was enough, but it's just a tanning salon for the Aphrodite. He says, I'm trying to get my summer bod ready anyway. Ghastly Breath, Paralyzing Spit. Stygian Torment immune by the Undying Love. Now it could be Cerberus, who instead is the die cast for them. Benny Q tries to get the last vestiges of damage. Won't quite find it. Hoi Yi in trouble. Tries to get off the ricochet, but straight shot doesn't get all the range they need. In fact, Opwash can outrange them for days. Birdil is alive. And for Deduin, that's all that matters.
Look at Nika's health bar. Do you see how many times they cast birds in that fight? We're in like double digits at this point. Like, it's actually ridiculous. Kilgoon,
These are the real
help
tough
us,
pigeons.
please. Let us.
Oh no. Empty the Crypts is massive with the Ancile. Silences everyone. Upwash trying to stay alive. Has the beads to ensure they won't get shred apart. In fact, it's a danger. A killing spree for the Aphrodite. Sab 7 barely hanging on for dear life. And the Cerberus is going to try to make a one-man or one-dog defense. But I don't think it's going to be the case for them to actually stand up to the bird as it finally gets burned away. Bill grabbed the structure and a kill to boot.
On one hand, Wilo Ubil is slowly but surely grinding away at the defenses to Deduin's basement. On the other hand, Deduin's basement, because they've been holding on so long, are getting closer and closer to getting these kills. Ratatahuti's almost here. Odysseus Bow almost here. Deduin's here. If you're Deduin's basement, you just got to keep throwing the book at them. You have to keep trying to keep them off, fend them away. Because at least if you can get one kill or even a small trade, the shutdown gold will be decent if you can find Nika. Even just keeping We Love You Bill away from your bird for any extended period of time has to be good. But if you're We Love You Bill, you just take a look at that lost night. A free lost night over here. Why are you lost? Where are you going? Found you a home.
In my pocket, buddy.
A pocket in a coffin. Give me that buff. 7.5% health and mana regen. Or no. 4.5% health, mana regen, 7.5% penetration.
There it is. We're back.
There it
baby.
is.
And we're back in the pit.
That horse is dead
Well, you
again.
Let's see if Agni can stay alive at the very least. Loki's not taking the flank angle. Going full frontal here. Nice and honest. But is it really honest when you have an Opwash and an Aphrodite? Seems rather dirty to me.
Yeah.
All those
Anything but
undead
honest.
corpses. Pretty filthy, honestly. Here comes Serb. Here comes Empty the Crypt. Silences them
Well-
once more. Forces Hoi to the side. And Sap 7, forced already to the grave. Added to the undead army. Stygian Torment for posterity, but with the Hoi dive on top, no mobility left. Only can stand and fight. Stunned out, guns out here from this Opwash. Just endless bullets in that undead chamber. Cerberus trying to back down, but they have to doggy paddle their way back to the fountain. Will not succeed. A few more backslashes, and surely Deduin is dead.
That should be the game there. Do you see how many kisses Nika got off there too? It was like kiss, couple of seconds, kiss, stun, into stun, into stun. The control from this team comp was disgusting. I think I need to wash my hands and maybe take a shower after a game like that, because Wilo Ubil just completely outdrafted and outmaneuvered Deduin's basement. Aphrodite Opwash combination. Somebody help me. Somebody save me. Kilgoon,
See all those
put an
kisses,
end to this.
See all those kisses?
Yeah.
Nika's spit web must go crazy. Like, you're seeing everyone they've got. It's insane. Everyone they've kissed?
Wow. That's a deep cut. That's good. Nice.
It must
Too
go
bad.
crazy.
Too bad. Must go crazy.
Well, I'm about to see myself on that, John.
Right.
These ultimates are so insane from the Opwash. You noted it. You said Benny Q's about to build Ancile. You are scared. I'm scared. Everyone's afraid. This is just a disgusting run from these two gods. And down to the drafting board, what a brilliant play to pick up the Opwash, because it forces you into the worst pressure cooker of your life. If you pick Afro, you and whoever else she's healing are getting stunned. If you don't pick Afro, guess what? Haha, now we get to use it.
Yeah, and it feels like Deduin's basement aren't a team that really look at the Afro too much either. So, Wilo Ubil were just able to have it for themselves Thank goodness for vault bans, though, D'Lo, because we never have to see this combination of characters for the rest of the day, at least. Because, yikes, man. I don't know. It's just really, really toxic. Hey, $525 on the line, you're going to whip out whatever you can, right? You don't have to take the moral high ground.
Ugh. Man.
Look at that. It's
Doing
the
basement.
size of the lane.
It, like, genuinely covers so much space, does so much damage. Sap 7 would get... This fight right here. Look at Sap 7. Pieced apart by the Loki and the ultimate from Benekyu. And at that point, Hoyi was forced into the side wings because they didn't want to eat all the damage from them to the crypts as well. You're forced to eat damage of some sort, buddy. There's no choice here for you but death. The god of it is going to lead you down to the 9th circle of Xibalba. 4-1 for Benekyu. 5-0 for Nika. Y'all are gross.
Big difference here from last game, too. We Love You Bill kept the pressure on instead of kind of sitting with their lead and not trying to force anything too much. They kept walking up to tower lines, looking for stuns, just popping an ultimate just to say, let's walk in this tower and get some chip damage on it, continuously moving the game forward. And that was a really big difference between game 1 and game 2 for We Love You Bill.
We got one more game coming at you. Win or lose, one of these teams is going to take that $500 prize, as well as some good old glory along with it. To find out the answer of who gets it, though, we're going to cut to a short little break before hopping on in. So stick around, guys. Summer Bash ain't over. It's coming back right after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome on back to the EU Smite Prime Summer Bash, where the plays are always premium and about to be at their peak. D'Lo here in the booth, joined by Musi right by my side. Almighty Eyes in the sky. Tess, Red Rosie Panda, keep the prod lights on that cam steady. Jithin's behind the curtain. And you watching at home, vault bans ensure that we don't have to ever see again the disgusting crimes against humanity showcased in that last game. Musi, I'm pleased.
Yes, because once a pick is locked in, you can't pick it for the rest of the set. We'll have a graphic for you on picks and bans, so you'll know who's been picked so far if you're a little late coming to the party here so far, because we are on EU time for this EU Game 3. D'Lo. Good stuff so far.
Game 3? Hell yeah.
Heck yeah, man. Let's freaking get it.
Waiter, I'll have what we're having. Some more good Smite Prime action. I'm gonna try that out next time I go to a restaurant. Plate's already down the table. Waiter, I'll have what we're having.
And you, you want that with the potatoes or the slaw?
I want that with, I can't think of a item that sounds like slaw, but I'll have it with a bulwark of hope. Give me some bulwark of hope on the side.
Oh, it's the
Sure,
chef
this is a
we haven't
Wendy's.
eaten today. I think there's been a shortage.
Yeah, we've been out of that for quite some time, but we're not out of the
yeah,
thing
the
that just
last
got
guy
news.
just picked up the last one. Yeah.
I'm so angry.
I'm so mad.
Do you think, Musi, the draft philosophy is going to change now? Like, is there a way to replicate what we've kind of seen so far from We Love You Bill, which seems to be a somewhat similar, very battle of attrition methodologies? We hop into P's and B's, we'll find out, but do you see any gods that allow them to replicate that same nonsense, but just on a maybe slightly smaller scale?
Well, it depends on if Guan Yu gets banned or not, which if you're Deduin's
That's true,
basement,
that's
you're
true.
turbo banning that every single time, right? Unless you try to let
Yeah.
it slip through here and first pick it for yourself. That could be tech. But something as abrasive as Opwash Aphrodite, probably not. You know, the amount of sustain and heal guides we're getting are lower and lower and lower.
Good.
Now we're kind of looking towards things like, if you're Wilo, you Bill, the Zeus run back could be good. Morgan Le Fay, I feel like, has a lot of potential here. Still waiting for something like a Merlin. You know, maybe not a Merlin, though. Merlin maybe for Deduin's basement. Because Sap 7 likes to play the real, like, true damage mages. It looks like they're not really speccing in too much physical or magical protections. The sole exception being the breastplate we saw for the Poseidon. But if you're Wilo, you Bill, we're kind of playing similar styles, yes, but it's going to be more we're healing and sustaining through the items that we're building, maybe not necessarily through the picks that we have in the back pocket.
You know what's interesting, Muzi? I'm kind of realizing, I feel like sometimes you'll see in Conquest, teams will have a bit of a coin flip whether or not they'll want to go first pick or second pick. In Joust, notably, the losing team has always taken first pick. What do you think the reason for that is?
I mean, there's just less picks to go around, and that makes it so that the first pick of your draft becomes hyper important. Also, draft comps for Joust are very different from Conquest, right? Because there's like simultaneously some flexibility, but the core identity of your team is generally decided by one pick to start things off. So like We Low You Bill starts with a Guan Yu that informs them the rest of their team comp. They started with an Opwash that informs the rest of the team comp. Deduin's Basement will start things off with a Sobek that lets them know, okay, cool, now we're just looking for either more tank or more damage. So definitely why first pick is super, super important.
Bacchus being that first pick is rather interesting. I mean, actually, no, it does make sense. Considering the bans we have and the Vault bans we have as well. Charon's the instant answer back, so the tanky boys return to the field, though this Charon might not be as tanky as you think. And we'll see with the Thor as well, locked alongside. That's just solid classic Smite Prime, no matter what map you're on.
I mean, Charon, Benny Q has played at mid, and Thor, I would expect to go either in the hands of Nico or Zab. Nico especially, I think, could do some pretty solid work with the Thor here. Just going a bunch of tanky items and getting active, right? What I really like about Thor and Charon is that they have a lot of range over the Bacchus so far. So if you're to do its basement, you want to make sure that you draft some range for yourself so that you have an answer to the fact that you're going to get Thor walled into Charon Silence and all the dot damage that comes with it.
Morgan Le Fay getting her first shout the entire day. The Uller as well, the glorious one himself. Bit more of a pick composition, I suppose, with that last edition. Why do you think the Deduin's Basement have gone this route?
Well, you do have a lot of CC lockdown between each of these characters, right? So they can each play off of each other. Uller finds an axe that opens up the possibility for a flop or a burp or anything from Morgan Le Fay. Ideally, or a similar situation, Morgan Le Fay finds a fear that could turn into an axe or a flop. Baka finds a flop that could turn into a fear or an axe. Each of these characters kind of feed into each other in terms of what they're able to do. But man, that We Low You Bill comp just looks kind of gnarly. I'm not going to lie to you. Mordred, Charon, Thor. There is so much dive potential here. There's also a lot of range between Charon and Thor. You can match your engages with a Charon ultimate as well. Feels like Deduin's Basement really need to find their picks and pop off with this Uller Morgan Le Fay combo. Because if they don't, We Low You Bill has another team comp that can just grind a game out until it's all over.
You noticed how like all other god portraits are like, and then Mordred's like, he's just like,
I blinked for a second and you were just right in front of me.
That's not even. Whoa! Whoa! Oh God! Ow!
It's like the running skeleton.
Dear God, dude. That's what. It got freed from Deduin's Basement. Horus is out. Oh, thank God. We got him out of there.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I got genuinely scared when I saw the thing show up on the left side of my screen. I was like, what? No. No.
They could do that. Music gets updrafted out of the camera. I'm like, oh my God. He's dead. He's dead. Someone get Malum.
Oh, dear.
Oh, boy. That was interesting. Thanks, Tess.
Thanks, Tess. Thanks, Jethans. Always a good time here.
Oh, boy. All right, so we talked about this more just scary. Aside from his portrait, we're going to find out just how so when we hop into game. But, Muzi, what does this Mordred do in this setting on this map?
He runs at you. He runs and he runs and he runs and he runs and he runs. Mordred has ultimate up so frequently, and because pulling beads happens so often in Joust and you're always constantly skirmishing, you pretty much always want your beads up. What Mordred says is, I'm going to go in, pull your beads, fight for a little bit, ult again, now you're getting scooped up. The Uller and the Bacchus don't have CC mute ultimates, so they're prime targets for this Mordred. Sap 7 can give themselves some CC immunity in their own ultimate, but it is worth mentioning that it's not just the Mordred. They have to worry about pulling beads. Thor and Charon can really force it away as well.
Man, I thought that Morgan Le Fay clone was the real one. I was like, Sap 7, buddy, what you
doing? I
doing?
did too. I was like, really?
Sap7 on Twitch now in the dumpster. No, Sap7's staying nice and safe. Doing. Having a hard time doing the same thing. Taking quite a lot of poke. Double tap, not going to be committed to. Some good restraint there from Nika. I'm surprised.
A lot of bluestones here. Actually, exclusively bluestones.
Everyone's
here.
got blues.
Poor.
He who cast the first
you
bluestone.
You get a bluestone. You get a bluestone. Dilo, check underneath your chair.
What? I'm at a standing desk right now, Musi, if you didn't know.
Check underneath your standing desk.
Dust. Lots of dust. I gotta clean.
Oh crap, where did I put that bluestone?
Oh no! Turns around.
I gotta go. Gulp. It's right behind me. Gets ticked for
Oh god!
physical damage.
Tessa's
Oh,
man.
no.
This is scary stuff.
So,
He who cast the first bluestone. I don't know what that old adage is for that. Don't throw bluestones in a glass house. 'Cause then
I think it's something
not
like
damage
that, yeah.
applied. Yeah. All
I
right,
think
it's
that's
all
it,
coming
yeah.
to check out here. Okay, taking a look around the compositions here so far. It's been pretty calm for the waters. Who is the real late game scaler? I feel like you can make arguments for both sides in some ways.
I'm really looking at Deduin's basement just because they've got the mage that can do a bunch of damage and an Uller as well that can find a lot in hand. Like, Charon does not strike me as like a burst mage. It's definitely like, I'm gonna hit you with a bunch of abilities, take my Bluestone, my Soul Reaver. It's very annoying for you to play against. But you're looking at Mordred and Thor to get that last pop. Unless, of course, we have something like a Charon ultimate.
That's something like a nice little double stun at the very least. But not too much follow-up here to see. Nika doing a pretty good job just to warm up the old hammer. Level 5 differences have been obtained for a bit, but no ultimates have been exchanged. Last time we saw Thor, the ultimates were a bit off the mark here, but of course, with this Thor, you have a new ability to kind of unexpectedly actually find a gank, which ganks are very rare, of course, in Joust, but if you take to the left side or that red buff pit and they'll see you coming with the Dandle of Dawn, suddenly things can change. Good beads forced out there from the axe. Hail of arrows and the consuming power will finally consume their soul. First blood goes the way of Deduin's basement, but now I hear the da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. The Jaws theme starts to play, but the Mordred cannot see the credits roll. They don't find anything in return.
The turn was a little bit too tight there for the Mordred ultimate to connect on top of Sap 7, but Sap also still had their beads, so even if it did connect, it might have put Zav in a position of like, maybe I don't want to be here. You know what I mean? This is not quite what I'm looking for. Early Oathsworn Spear there for adapting. That's really solid for Uller, being able to proc it pretty consistently. Every time you hit somebody with an attack, it takes away some of their physical protections. So you'll be able to say, all right, neat. Now I can shred, which is what you need early on in the game. Deduin's basement definitely want to be the aggressors in this scenario before we load you Bill gets their Charon to their Soul Reaver, which, gulp, there it is. But also things like a Chronos Pendant to go with it or a Totem of Death.
Dude, you saying shred just reminded me, how sick would it be if they made a Charon, like, skater skin? So, like, or like a longboard? That would be, I think, pretty dope, I'm not gonna lie.
What about a
out
Charon
here.
skin where he's like riding a guitar?
Oh, that would also be really cool, man.
Is that-
I want him to
is that
shred
kinda
in
cool?
some form. Yes, I do. I
Yeah.
genuinely think that's really neat. What about a skin where he's like an Australian shirtless man, and like we call him like Hebro or something like that, like or like you know
Oh,
Chad on. I'm just talking about butt here. All right, 4 minutes, one kill for the
Right.
Deduin's basement. 400 gold lead. You speak now.
skip-a-da-ba-da, dip-a-da-ba-da, dip-a-da-ba-da, yeah, yo.
And say scat.
Oh, my bad. I misheard you. I was just listening to a little bit of Scatman before this. I kind of use it to get in the mindset, get in the mood. This is the Joust that I'm very familiar with now. 1-0, 5 minutes. Everyone's chilling. Not too much going on.
Oh,
but
you.
here's what happens with these types of games, D'Lo. It's gonna take one kill. All hell breaks loose. And Deduin's basement are known for picking fights around this Lost Night. They've definitely got the team comp to be able to take that health bar to task. Early Resolute Mantle there from Deduin. He's incentivized to fight to get CC'd, so hey, here comes the fight.
Some of the sticks. Here's one. Knocked up on the other, but they actually hit the Morgan Le Fay clone, if I'm not mistaken. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, they
Nika
did.
now being rung around the rosies. The Doin takes them out. And man, oh man, you gotta imagine Zav mega embarrassed and hung in shame. That's unfortunate, but luckily, if you die, you don't have to worry about that feeling anymore. They won't be given the luxury of such things, since the adapting doesn't quite have the damage just yet, but that is a danger of the Morgan Le Fay in the heat of battle. You're not quite sure which one you're hitting.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. As somebody who's been in that position, that sucks.
Or in the air?
Like, you still
Oh no, missing your ult also sucks too, I gotta say. They're in position for the heart slash, but maybe not expecting them to not be moving. Now Sap 7 on their juke shoes, doing a pretty gosh darn good job of it. An amazing belly flop as well from the Doin, and they're spared from death once more.
I mean, do you see the damage from the Morgan
That
when
sucks.
it was able to connect there? That sucks. But like the damage potential from We Low You Bill here is absolutely present. If we hit it, right? That's the big driving force here. But think about this, D'Lo. Everybody just used beads and shells and relics and ultimates in that last fight, except for maybe Sap. If you're Zav, now you're really looking for that ultimate, right? Pursue the Weak goes crazy here because there are no beads to speak of.
Luckily, Morgan Le Fay clone never has beads too, so maybe just go for her again.
Right.
Does that count on your damage
that's a
numbers? Honestly,
guaranteed
just
hit.
pad those stats. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Bro, she's just taking it. Why are we not just targeting her more often? Good wall there, but they actually drop it down. To do it maybe could have been in a spot of bother had they elected to target them. But they're rather tanky after all. They have this mantle, this glad shield as well. To do is really going to start to be packing that thick fat. They're like a whole ass Pokemon out here.
True. Doing. Do. Go.
It does sound like a Pokemon, actually. Up. Oh, to doing. Oh, to doing. You gotta flee from battle there, buddy. Is your level high enough? No, to doing. Faints from battle. But it's gonna be Benny-Q traded out right after. They had a Destiny Bond equipped. Adapting takes them out. Dragonfly pushes back in Zav into danger. Adapting. Heart slashed into place. They have damage to fall out. Great Sigil Mastery there. Ensures that Zav will fall right afterwards. Now it's a 2v1. Things are not looking good here for Nika, but Adapting is rather low. Finds the axe. But Sap did not believe, and thus, the Heretic will not find another kill.
No mana for Adapting or Sap, so Nika still wants to find a fight here. Hammer in, finds a stun, but beats! Sap 7 uses it to get away! Oh, and the fear, too! Sap 7 is still alive!
This is insane. I don't know how this Morgan Le Fay is able to stick around. Gets belched on by their Bacchus brother-in-arms just I guess, to, celebrate. I wouldn't want to be belched on by my teammate in order to celebrate me staying alive, but, far from
like
me
a contact
to
drunk?
yuck your yum. I guess so. Yuck. Maybe birds that. 8 minutes. 4-1. About, 800 gold lead there for Deduin's basement. No big OBJ, and that being the Lost Knight has been ripped or sniffed at just yet. But maybe that argument starts to change now that Adapting is starting to swing for bigger numbers, and that comp of basement is looking pretty equipped to rip an objective.
We do have the Totem of Death there for Sap 7, so the Shred's online. Soul Reavers around the corner, plus Titan's Bane for Adapting. Very important power spikes for these carries. That's when they become very, very relevant, because We Low You Bill, they'll have to get even more protections before they can stand in front of either of these characters. They've been getting picked off and pieced up pretty consistently here. Consistently, he says. There are 4 kills. But what I mean by that is they're taking a lot of poke, right? Which is interesting, because I looked at the We Low You Build team, and I was like, oh, they got a great team for poke. Turns out Deduin's basement's like, yeah, and so do we. Watch this drive, and then just run it down. Oh, speaking of.
Watch the summon sticks. Sap 7 instantly immune with return some damage of their own right. Benny-Q takes a swift voyage on out. Doin in trouble. Double tap on top of Adapting, though. Here comes Pursue the Weak. Do they know where it's coming? It's looking for Deduin. A solid target. They're already pretty low, but not low enough. That Mantle really coming in clutch. Double tap now instead onto Adapting.
Ooh.
A glorious charge on out. A glorious exit. Thor's in the sky. They elect for safety or for glory. That's Uller's job, so Thor goes for the first. No one dies just yet.
It's hard to Thor ult in there with Sap 7 on the field just because he can fear.
Nice!
Oh, you know what else is hard? Getting rooted. Deduin put down to the grave. We Low You Bill. They can't find too much off of it, though, D-Lo, right? But maybe they can get some farm.
Nice little red buff. Not too shabby for your troubles. Great heart slash there from
A little
Zav
treat.
to equalize things a little bit. Thor. looking towards his left side. Does Adapting know? Does Adapting care? Maybe, yeah. He's forced off there for not much cost. Adapting not lurking in the wings. Great value there from the Thor.
So now, you gotta jump on this Uller. That's what you gotta do here. Zav could do it. Thor could do it once they get their ult back online. Although, maybe not Thor, right? Because what happens as soon as you come down from either Thor ult or your Mordred ult, Sap 7 throws the fear on you, and you're like, oh, good, cool, no, I love this. And then Adapting just kind of blows you up. Good CC combo, not only for engaging, but also for heal, for counter engage. Has kind of been where Deduin's Basement has been shining. It's been so hard for We Low You Bill to go in there because Deduin's Basement just throws damage at their feet and says, all right, cool, step at me.
On the sticks, says swim at me. Swimming power, slashes at them instead. Deduin takes down Benny Q to start things off. The axe off the mark, Thor's in the sky, but blocking less than half health. Not liable to re-enter the fray so willy-nilly. Instead, they look for a blue buff. Mordred finds safety, but Deduin's Basement on the prowl.
Ready to walk up towards this tower. Remember, we have Uller be able to take this tower, so it will not be long for this world. That's a healthy amount of gold to put in the pocket of Deduin's Basement to help swing them further. Now with that tower dead, this does certainly open up the map a bit for Deduin's Basement to maybe force something around that Lost Knight. Feels like Benny Q, being the poke character that they are always within range to get jumped at, either by Deduin or Sap or Adapting. You'll notice Benny ults whenever Deduin gets a little bit too close, and the Deduin in turn just stands behind the Charon. And whenever Charon ults, Sap just pops their own ultimate and says, cool, I'm just gonna hit you a bunch, you're gonna die. Good luck. So, feels like Deduin's Basement's team comp is putting in the work here so far. Especially now that they're able to get a couple of their important items. It's very hard to slow it down.
It's also really difficult because Deduin's just doing such a great job base tanking. CC, like that right there. They have the tenacity off that mantle. Stuns, roots, fears, these are things that get reduced. Bach is able to get back into the fray relatively quickly. They can just take another sip from their Estus flask and hop back into battle. So what do We Low You Bill do about it? They have to ignore the Bacchus? They just go straight to the back line? And they try to shred apart the Bacchus first?
I mean, kind of waiting for Nika and Zaf to have a coordinated dive on top of either Adapting or Deduin. I would really like to see it on top of Uller because he can't ult CC immunity away a Thor ultimate or a Mordred ultimate. And it has to be the 1-2 punch because, you know, Adapting is going to try to peel for this Uller. Or rather, Sap 7. Excuse me. But haven't really had a chance to see that 1-2 punch for We Low You Bill. It's been go for poke, go for poke, go for poke. Oh, we're committing to a fight. Oh, we're dying. All right, let's go. Right. Whereas Deduin's Basement has been, hey, I got a stun on this guy. I got a flop on this guy. You want to kill them? Yes? Yay. Yippee. Yay. Let's do it.
Easy little flowchart there. Flop does find Nika, but no follow-up does. Wall locks off Sap 7, but they have the beads to shrug off some sticks as well. Still decent damage, consuming power, forces Thor low, but likely going to go back in with Sap 7 as their target. Not even needed. They're already dead. Thor rejoins the fray in the mid lane. Now Adapting could be in trouble. Great double tap combo. Thor commits, finds the spin to win. And the 1-2 punch drops 2, in fact, for Basement. Now it's Bacchus stepping up to try to finish off Nika. They won't be able to. Solid engagement from Bill.
We Low You Bill able to split up the fight there. Uller was forced to zig while everybody else had to zag. Deduin forced to flee. All truth and honesty there. But with those kills, We Low You Bill is actually able to catch up entirely. It looks like some things helped out here, right? Benny Q also has Talisman of Purification to go with their Aegis. Now we have Beads Aegis combo. But also handy for the CC for anybody standing next to Benny Q when they have to do it for themselves. And Zav, upgraded Shell, just a little bit more survivability.
What's he thinking to steal off with consuming power? No, not quite. Zavris finishes off the job. Gets that 4.5 mana buff. Benny Q could have used it. Can't now. They're dead. Solid engagement there on the side of Deduin's Basement to come on back. That being said, the tower is debuffed for a good bit of time for Bill. Question is, can they really press the advantage when Benny Q's down for 30 seconds? We'll wait to see.
Not so much. It's going to be tough. In fact, We Low You Bill is going to be on the defensive for a little bit here. Granted, with that Lost Knight buff, they should be plenty tanky enough to survive.
It's a tough target to decide between the Thor and the Mordred. Heart Slash does find one. Anvil of Dawn ascends to the sky, and look at this Mordred. Feeling pretty gosh darn solid for it. Nika's a different story. Descends back down with nigh 0 health. I respect the Moxie, but buddy, care about yourself. Protect yourself. Nika should indeed, they sure will. Zav backs off on as well. And now we let you Bill. Back up the...
Yeah, it's just the old back and forth here. 60 seconds while this tower is debuffed, but we let you Bill. Feels like they don't really have the team to walk in and take it. Maybe they walk in and look for a fight on top of it and try to stealth it during said fight, but feels like Deduin's basement damage can't really be ignored at all, even if you are fairly tanky.
Or at least ignore the tower for now if you decide to dive it. And indeed they will. To the weak, matched with consuming power. The damage from this Mordred cannot be underestimated either. Zav forced to back off by the Dragonflight, forced to beads as well, turns their attentions towards adapting. A far easier target, especially when Heart Slash down. That's going to be Nika finishing off the kill. Now looking towards the tower instead, or maybe Deduin as well. Deduin has to flee for their own life in the tier 1 and go nowhere but into rubble.
Again, these shrouds pick up from Nika and Zav. Anytime they get CC'd, they throw out some extra damage on top of them. And Deduin, adapting, and Sap 7 have plenty of CC. So while they're all fighting on top of each other, especially with that Draconic Scales too, the Shroud is going to be able to see that and adjust its damage accordingly. So while Nika and Zav are taking a bunch of damage, the Scales gives them more protections, percent increase protections if I'm not mistaken too, and then they deal more damage. So
nice.
That is kind of the power spike for the tanks here, as it were. Yeah, 3% bonus protections from that god type. And 300 health. Like, really solid stuff. And a flat number. Good lord. Tanks, if you have not been building this item, start building it. But it doesn't have cooldown, Musey. It sucks. No. Build it. You know why Berserkers was good with Pridman? Similar story.
When the sticks comes through, Deduin. Belly flops on top of open air. That could be something that starts the fight on the wrong foot in the basement. Deduin, though, able to back them off enough. Bluster of their backline. Leia Bill. Shoved off once more. The bird's still safe.
Combat Blink. Up and available for adapting. This was what changed the pace of the game for Game 1 for Deduin's basement. The fact that adapting was able to get their Combat Blink, and then Sap got their Combat Blink. Suddenly, We Let You Bill was starting to struggle a little bit in those late game fights. So it's right around the corner for Sap. It's online for adapting, so now they can play with the space a little bit more. Going to be another big thing to look out for Deduin's basement. It's kind of feels like even though We Lo You Bill has been slowly turning these fights around, I'm kind of waiting for Deduin's basement to just say,
wow.
Right, we're going to kill you.
Tell that We Lo You Bill are trying to say that same message. Send over to Adaptive. Off the mark, though, with the stun. Now, on the mark, pursue the weak. Only finds Deduin, though. Sap 7's on the front lines, trying to find damage of their own right. Phantom Shell forced out, but Morgan Le Fay does not have Blink. Ooh. They don't have life either. Any cues to trade out. Zav forced to Nemean away. Adapting, trying to flee the scene. It does manage to juke and evade the Anvil of Dawn. Incoming stun there from the Belch, beads away by the Mordred. Begins hack and slashing away at the rest of Ulur's health bar. A glorious leap. Gets them back to safety. A 1-for-1 trade so far.
Benny was caught out by the fear that Sap threw out. That puts the Charon in a really bad spot. Charon might look like a tank, but if you look at their items, they are not a tank. Right? They are very, very, very squishy. But adapting was a little bit late to the rotation of that fight there. They weren't quite able to make it in time. They had a good blink combo to be able to finish up the kill, but still not quite enough. So we're back to parity, as it were, between the two teams. Level 20s are hit. Builds are actually being finished. It's very rare territory for a Joust game. But it does mean that these fights towards the late game become more and more certain, right? If somebody goes down, you have to try to take as many people down too. No holds barred. Because if the other team is able to get away and you have to fight a 2v3 later, you have to ask yourself the question, do I want to fight the 2v3 now? Or do I want to fight the 2v3 later when they have all their stuff back up again? So just make sure that whatever you commit to, it's the fight that you want. We even got wards in our Joust game. That's how serious this is. 525 real American dollars on the line right now, D-Lo. Between Dadooin's basement and We Love You Bill. Walk away with this EU Joust tournament. Part 1 of the Summer Bash. Hashtag Smite Prime. You can definitely imagine the players are feeling the pressure mounting up here.
That's why it's nice that Sap 7's got this blink to escape out of that pressure when they need to at a moment's notice. Relics are all just about online, save for a couple pairs of beads that should be up shortly, hopefully, for Bill before the fighting commences anew. Talisman here for the Charon. The blink as well. Aegis is too? Oh god. This guy is disgusting with the relics.
I've noticed
hoarding.
Mages. Yeah, mages will tend to go for like 2 or even 3 relics at this point, valuing the utility and relying on damage from Bluestone and Soul Reaver and Divine Ruin to really get their numbers across. Especially when you're a Charon, you have a lot of tick damage there as well. So you're not really relying on big bursts, it's just chipping it away. Honestly, Nika and Zav are the ones that really look for the kills, whereas this Charon mid pick is mostly here for the utility and the poke. That's what sets it apart. Not Sap 7 though. This guy's here to hit you in the face really, really hard and spam abilities on top of you. Yeah, we're also using like a similar build, but we are looking for things like a Ratatouille, an Ob Shard, big damage, big numbies, and get in your face and make it happen.
21 minutes, 7-6 in favor of the basement. Gold lead though favors Bill, but just slightly, about 900 their way. Mordred trying to take this off angle. Thor, full frontal. Maybe he's trying to force off a relic for the Mordred to have their way. With Voyage forward, only a bluff. Here comes the CC, forces out the blink and the beads from BennyQ. Pursue the weak in the back line. Doesn't find much to do and might be able to just finish off the job themselves. Swift Voyage does get them a bit more distance, but the belly flop catches on up. One last belch, one last auto to Dadooin. Solos BennyQ.
Down they go, adapting, looking for some damage on their own, but Zav just barely staying alive!
Oh, finally they're able to get the kill on top, but Zav does fall in the process. If Nika stays alive, there's still hope for Bill, but if they go down, surely it's all over from here. Great wall. Do they decide to recommit? The answer is no. They understand that there are grander things on the line. 500 smackaroonies.
Sap 7 and Dadooin ready to kind of push down this mid Phoenix. They've got minions walking up, but there's still some farm up on the map to take a look at. Red, purple, blue, Lost Night, which might be a need, a necessity in order to take down this bird. That moment when BennyQ died, D-Lo, I wonder if BennyQ lives if they don't turn around for a hair of a second to look at the Bacchus. You saw that too. Because
look
that
me in the
belch,
eyes!
It felt like it was... It felt like the belch was just right outside of the range. That if the Charon just keeps walking in a straight line, he's safe.
Dadooin says, I want
That
to
timeline
see the
was
light in
never
your
easy.
eyes. That
wanna
was definitely
see
a
the meat
solid
at your
play
turkey
from the
leg.
basement. BennyQ's got to be careful, man. They're dying very early in these fights, and they have the potential to really turn things around if they're able to consistently get off multiple rotations of that kit. Lost Night available. Lost Night being ignored. Bill instead. Warding it up, baby. Guinness World Record for most wards bought in Smite 2 Joust in like the last 3 weeks. Get that ready for the books. 24 minutes being hit now. Where does the tension finally break? How does either of these
Lost
teams get a
Night.
full wipe?
Looked like Nika was picking up that Lost Night for a little bit there, but opted not to. I mean, I want to see something get started with the Thor ult, the Mordred ult. Get active, get in there. Like, it's what we're born to do, especially now that we have upgraded Sunders for both of our Divey tanks. Like, these builds are designed to stand in front of people's faces and force them to fight you and punish it, too. Like that.
Comes the Mordred pursue the weak. Forces beads off, and now it's real low for Sap 7. Real high up in the sky for Thor's going to come crashing back down. Not on Sap, they're already dead. Instead, they're looking for adapting. The die's been cast and the hand has been played. Adapting is able to bail into Dadooin, still feeling pretty healthy. Leap on top of Zav, but that might be a sacrificial lamb you're willing to part with because Adapting's not sure if they want to rejoin the fight. Rooted in place in a swift voyage back down the river Styx. BennyQ's going to escort ya.
Looks like now we can take a look at that Lost Night. Adapting went all the way up in order to avoid getting caught out. And again, That's what we're looking for Zav to go straight to Sap 7. So what if there's an ultimate, man? Just eat it. You're Mordred. When you pop that Sunder, the upgraded Sunder, on top of them, it does a lot of damage, especially when you have a Nemean and a Bluestone ticking away at their health bar too. And look at it this way. If anybody tries to shell next to Sap, the erosion that Zav has comes in clutch there. I like the way that Nika was able to pivot and take a look at adapting right afterwards, catching them out. Unable to get the kill, but still forcing the Uller away. We love you, Bill. Now they've got the Lost Knight in hand. That bird is disabled. We just got to run that same fight back and then go for the game.
4.5% health and mana regen. 7.5% penetration. Red buff's about to come up. Sap 7 might have prio on that. But they're a bit afraid. You can tell why. Because a river's coming right for it, as well as a charging Mordred. Able to escape the first, but does get hit by the second. Shrugs off the CC with consuming power. Bennequ's dead in the backline, but adapting is trying to flee for their life. Mordred might not let them. One severing strike will certainly remove their head from their body. It's a good stun, a great hail of arrows, but Nika, despite being low, still brings adapting down to 0. Heart Slash takes down 2, including Zap 7's clone. So at the very least, Zav gets some health back for it. A 1-for-1 trade.
Well, could have gone worse, right? The ults came down from long, that 3-point line for Zav and Benneq. Very, very telegraphed. But was still able to force the ult from Sap. So that's why it didn't go completely haywire there for We Love You, Bill. But again, it's just going to be Nika and Zav that try to make something happen. Deduin is very, very tanky.
Deduin might be watching Sap 7 be very, very dead. Good stun on top of Zav. Keeps them safe. You know what? Here again, the compositions rear their ugly head. Deduin's basement, in this circumstance, can easily shred down a Phoenix thanks to that Uller. We love you, Bill. Not quite the same story.
We Love You, Bill's team comp relies on winning the team fight in order to take a look at objectives, whereas Deduin's basement, if the Uller is able to connect on top of that Phoenix, you're right, D'Lo. Like, it's just going to die. That is the reality of the situation here. But We Love You, Bill's team comp is designed to win a team fight. What a flop!
Look at the damage from Deduin and Sap. Benneq's charging at the summon sticks. You're already rowing down in it. But Sap 7 does fall in the trade. Zav once again finds him a great blink to evade the Anvil of Dawn. The stun finds the mark, but the axe is off it. So Thor could be liable to take down adapting. A leap and a flop. Deduin's basement. Back in the cellar. Nice and safe.
Wards win games. There was a ward in that bush where Benneq was hiding, and it belongs to Deduin's basement. Dude, Deduin knew for a fact that Benneq was in that bush, flops him, and then eviscerates him. Dude, Deduin knew what to do in the situation. I don't know many do words. It's like a sandstorm in here, my lord. No? No? Just me?
Nah, gotta see through all the chaos. Get some clear vision. Unfortunately, Uller, not quite gonna be in that status as they missed the axe. That could have been everything. These training wheels that you always talked about, Musi, for the Uller. I feel like Adapting's been trying to throw a lot of raw axes. I wonder if it's maybe got to come off the back of the belly flop, or maybe there's just too much fog of war to get such synergy when things are so chaotic.
Yeah. I mean, at this level, I feel like your Uller should be able to hit your axes pretty consistently, but that is kind of a tricky ability to hit. Being able to confirm it wouldn't be too bad, but it also, I kind of feel like Adapting needs to hold on to the axe for peel, less than for set,
okay.
Right? Because Deduin's got a flop and a belch to really set things up, and Adapting needs that axe if Nika or Zav try to jump on top of them, you know? Because that's going to buy them some extra time to be able to make some more space and get away. Get their blink off, get their leap off, just get out of dodge.
Interrupts that Berserker's barrage from the Thor. Interrupts that Heart Slash from the Mordred. And probably just kills Benneq outright. Benneq's got to really make sure to keep safe. Has that Magi's Cloak now to immune the flop. Smart pickup there to ensure a bit more safety from that CC.
Oh boy. We're all full built. We're all ready to go. Uller's got an Aegis instead of a blink. That's interesting. Guess he's got a lot of mobility. He's not too stressed out about it.
I see you.
Push it all.
One right there for the Uller. Manages to actually get the beads. Some of the sticks is going to follow up, so they have no CZ, but it's a great time lock Aegis to ensure Adapting stays safe. The axe off the mark. The Swift Voyage is just so, and Adapting will be the pro. Now Deduin Has to flop on out. Thor not going to try to let it be an easy escape. Sap 7 able to get back to the throne room to Duin. Somehow able to survive. One last belly flop. Free Willy gets on back to Fountain. And Bill returned back with hands not empty, but still unsatisfied.
Man, they can't even go for the lost knight immediately afterwards because Sap 7's already back up and ready to go. So the fight ends up being moot? Question mark? Like, Wheelo you Bill have to completely sprint at this lost knight and hope that they can shred it away. But Sap 7 and Deduin are around the corner. They've got the ability to be able to get in there and make it happen. But can they get there in time?
Mordred pinching off the right side. They do not want there to be an escape. If Sap 7 steps past the threshold, slow burn on the OBJ. Duin walks up as well. It does make Benny Q's life living hell or flopping out. Knowing that Morgan Le Fay could be in danger.
Here comes adapting.
Our Arthurian counterpart. Benny Q's in trouble and adapting's on the way. Now the fight's gone awry. Nika's already dropped down to half. Benny Q as well. Deduin's the only one who's looking where for where. What a great stun off the axe. Benny Q hacked apart like chopped liver. Mordred's next. Nemean won't save you. The up down to evade the Anvil of Dawn. And it seems the sun set on We Love You Bill's life. Now Deduin's basement's looking nice and finished. Finished with the series. Finished with the enemy. It's their game.
Deduin's basement, or rather Wheelo you Bill, took so much damage from that lost knight trying to pull it, and they just didn't have the damage to finish the objective. This is a team comp that wins team fights, not objective fights. If it's long and drawn out, Deduin's basement was able to sit there and make it work. It costs Wheelo you Bill the game because they didn't respect the potential from adapting, Deduin and Sap 7 from pulling up on him.
Log can only get you so far. Deduin's basement. Take the series, take grand finals, get that sweet $525 grand prize. That was a really solid way to end things. Honestly, this day reached a perfect crescendo in that game 3. You never thought Comp Joust could be that exciting, did you?
Hey, I feel like you and I have a little bit of ball knowledge in that arena. We know the heights that Comp Joust can get to.
Oh, hell yeah.
But man, if you didn't know it before, you know it now. Hop on those Joust queues. Get in there. Because this game gets crazy hype. It was well played from both sides, especially from, I want to shout out Wheelo you Bill. Nika and Zav were working really well together. But Deduin's basement, poor Benny Q, on a boat, on an island, was unable to play because adapting and Deduin specifically, made Benny Q's life a living hell. Like, this guy did not get to play the video game at all.
Quite the lonely island for them, for sure. See this Deduin. Just so much damage coming out from this Bacchus. Sap 7 had a rough time of it as well. Zav was certainly trying to perform the same job. But Sap 7, I feel like, was able to get more rotation. The ability does Benny Q's build. They're not going to be quite as potent with that damage in the first place. Playing more for utility, especially with all those relics. But all the relics in the world could not buy you safety if Deduin has you in their sights.
Man, just crazy from this Bacchus. I think about that play on the bush where he found Benny Q sitting on the ward, flops over, and then boom! Down they go. This fight, too. Again, just holding on to the objective for too long. Like, you know that Sap 7 and adapting have damage. You know Deduin's got a damage. Like, flop in, Pridwin, Bomba. This Bacchus pick. Bottom of 3. Not too bad.
He was, I think, higher in player damage than adapting. 6 and 3. Yuck. Well, we'll be seeing the numbers shortly, but I'm nearly positive I saw him just below Zav. Just below Sap, who was also performing very, very well this morning, Le Fay. Man, oh man. He got some pretty solid ultimates there, too. I mean, everyone, I feel like, performed their job. It's just the dive. The dive. The dive. It just was too much to handle.
Dive. Yeah. I mean, like I said, Bacchus flop in, and then suddenly you've got 350 pounds of man coming down on top of you, and you're just like, ow!
Bomba.
Bomba. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that does mean that $525 grand prize for today does go to our friends on the side of Deduin's basement. Hopefully he can refurbish a little bit down there. Smells terrible. But nonetheless, as far as the grand stakes, $8,100 going to be given up over the Summer Bash. Quite a lot to go on here, and quite a lot of teams that played today, Musey, and that's what you can see here in the good old bracket.
Taking a look here, we had quite a bit to feast our eyes upon, and quite a bit of teams that showed up. The EU Joust players are ready to get down and get busy. And for the NA players that showed up to the EU Joust tournament, they had to get up pretty early in the morning in order to make it happen. Those early morning gamers, but really good stuff all around. I think we had some really good games in our eyes today.
Love the smell of Smite in the morning. Love the smell of Smite in the horizon. June Circuit Week 3. We'll be coming up relatively shortly. If you're looking out for more Smite Prime content, well, you don't gotta wait much longer. Look at that. 5K, the way of any team who decides to take it. It's gonna be going on throughout the weeks. As the summer break continues, more time to play Smite is what I say. As well as the Summer Bash EU Conquest Tournament coming up June 21st.
Hey, you like EU Joust? You'll love EU Conquest. Especially being able to see gamers like doing and adapting in SAP 7 on their natural hunting grounds. It's got $2,000 to the winner there. So quite a bit on the line, especially on that EU ping. Any NA gamers want to try to step to them, they get put down by the OGs.
EU GDP like drops immensely that day if NA takes it. All of their economic output, Germany shut down, all the countries ruined. I know, right? You're gonna see a complete NASDAQ shift. I can't wait. But as far as the gameplay we've got here for you today, that is it from us here at Summer Bash for Smite Prime EU Joust Tourney. Thank you very much for watching. I've been D'Lo, joined here by Musi in the booth. We've had our almighty eyes in the sky, Tess, Red Rosie Panda, Jithin's behind the curtain as well. Please thank our production for all they do. We had a really fun day, and it's all because of what they're capable of, their personalities, their bright humor, and of course, their amazing slick camera action too. So please thank our prod down below. And last, but certainly not least, thank you, loyal, obedient viewer, for your time. We hope you've enjoyed this series just as much as we have. You've been out of the sky for more Smite Prime content coming at you, as well as the next Smite game streamer up on tap. Until next time, though, guys, good night.